What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, live better, love better every damn day of their lives. And our Thursday night show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today, play the games with us, or just make a trip to Firekeepers. If you've never done the Sportsbook experience, I'm telling you it's really cool. Go to Dacey's at Firekeepers. Just an outstanding TV experience, food experience, gambling experience, or have it at your fingertips. Download the Firekeepers iCasino app and play the games with us. We're going to jump into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions momentarily. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. Speaking of Skymint, I don't have to drive tonight. It's one of the only times I don't have to drive because Treese is picking me up after the show. So I'm going to do a little Skymint, a little experiment, and see when this thing kind of kicks in. What should I do? 10 mgs? 20 mgs?
So, I mean, I don't know how many different Colombian cities you've got to pronounce tonight or anything like that through the Twitter questions.
So 20.
But as long as you can coherently read.
All right.
So
we'll do 15. We'll start with 15.
You doing Skymint edibles sounds like me eating donuts, by the way.
Such a great time to be alive.
Awesome.
All right, so let's see when that kicks in.
The show could get absolutely real.
Also, another piece of business before we get going here. My friend Jordan, he does an NFL draft prop sheet. If you guys are interested, I think Graham's going to play. I talked to Harry. I think he's in. $100, top 3 paid. If you get a hold of me through the show, the Twitter, Jason at couchandtherube.com, however you want to do it, I can send you last year's contest. It's a really fun deal. So we have 18 people right now, hoping for more. Top 3 get paid. If you want to do it, let me know. Explain the contest, exactly what it is. It's a prop sheet that my buddy does. It's about 50 questions that you go through, and it's different kind of scenarios. Like, let's say with the Joe Burrow draft, Jamar Chase draft, it was like, will Jamar Chase be drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals and teamed up with Joe Burrow? Anyway, so you get a lot of points after you fill out a lot of the props. You go through a list of props. Okay. And whoever has the most points after the draft wins. Sounds great. Or top 3 get paid. All right. You know how to get a hold of Jason. Yes. So this is one he's handling. Yes. Well, no, my buddy Jordan's, I'm telling you, it's a really, really good contest. Even though he's a Michigan fan, it's really well done. He does a great job. Why would that have anything to do with his ability to throw a contest? You never know. Yeah. You always have to throw it in there. Okay. All right. That's my last piece of business. All right. Before we dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, as we do every Thursday night or Friday morning, what we're betting this weekend, brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Again, download the app. You want to play the Tigers anytime this weekend, although that's a little risky. You want to play the Premier League soccer, the Champions League soccer. I got caught again live betting Europa League soccer today. It did not go all that well. Europa? Yeah, it's the second tier. It's like the NIT of the Champions League. Is that below CONCACAF? Well, no, it's a different. Europa and CONCACAF are separate, but yeah, I mean, yes. Good Lord, and I also was in the Conference League, which is basically the CBI of the. I was betting that today. It was not great. A lot of good fun on the Firekeepers app today, so you can join me doing that. Do you have anything you are betting this weekend? Definitely, Jason? It's going to be golf. We talked with Harry last night about the golf tournament, the Heritage Open. I'm not going to bet right now. Cam Young shot a 63 today, 8 under. I'm going to wait till after round 2. That's what I like to do in golf tournaments. Sunday, the last round, it's going to be on Easter, something to have on while you're hanging out with family. So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to look after the second round and sprinkle on a couple of guys. Yeah, I know. If you watch the first 2 rounds of the tournament, obviously you have a better idea than I do. Sometimes I just go on gut feel and see what these guys are going to do on the weekend. Gut feel's the best. It really is the best, especially when you get it right. A spite bet is the best, and a gut feel parlay is really good. All right. So we talked about the Premier League parlay that I liked
the other night with Tottenham and Brighton included. Tottenham playing Brighton. I love this Tottenham game. I don't know why. And if Tottenham fucks me here, I'm going to be pissed off. But Tottenham minus 193, and then the beauty is the goal line -1 is -105. They're at home against a Brighton team that can defend a little bit but can't score. Tottenham's been in great form. I'm playing this both ways. I'm playing this on the money line, and I'm playing this on the goal line, and thinking at worst I'll get my money back on the goal line, and because I like the juice there better. And I also have it in a parlay with Manchester United against Norwich City, and it's another game next week, which I think is, make sure I got this.
Cockburn.
Yeah, thanks. Manchester City against Brighton. So I like both of those as well. So that's what I'm playing, and I'm tempted on Brentford, Watford, but
a soccer team that can't score. What a preview.
Yeah, that's why you bet against them.
How is that possible?
They suck. They're the most infuriating team. It's why I hate them. I hate teams that can't score. I'm with you, man. I want to, I don't mind a great, passionate 0-0 game with lots of chances, but Brighton doesn't have chances. Brighton sucks. Brighton's like watching.
You could have at least waited till the Skyman kicked in to do the soccer shit.
Unfortunately, probably. Hopefully, we got some more soccer groovy donut Twitter questions.
I'm sure.
Coming up. All right, let's dig right into them. Jason, you ready?
Yeah. Eric Schultz and S.J. Davidson up first. Does Izzo need to pipe down about the transfer portal and how much he dislikes it? If you're a transfer deciding between MSU and another good school, and Izzo's out there talking about how his kid's transferring is bad for the game, does that affect your decision? And S.J. Davidson adds, with Izzo's public negativity towards the transfer portal, why would a top transfer come here? I love Izzo, but I hate the trait of his.
Well, what's interesting, too, is I doubt Izzo even understands that this has picked up any traction, because Izzo's been saying the same thing for like 3 or 4 years, and he says it all the time.
Don't coach my team.
It's just a matter of who happens to be listening and who writes it and who aggregates it off some radio show he says it to or whatever, and so it picks up steam. I guarantee you Izzo doesn't even understand right now that this is any different than any other day of anything he's said in the last 4 years. But that he doesn't control the news cycle and stuff like that. I don't think it matters if you're a transfer. If you're a transfer and Tom Izzo's recruiting you and he's like, I want you, you fit here, and we'd like to have you in the middle, play center for us. Come to Michigan State and play. Do you really care what his opinions are? The transfer portal is a philosophy.
I think you'd prefer a guy that's honest with you. And that's Izzo being honest about what he thinks about the transfer portal, but I don't think that he would stop someone from transferring, right?
Correct.
You can have an opinion on the transfer portal, but that's the way it is now.
It's like, I agree with Izzo to an extent, but what Izzo stops short of saying is, so I think of this as the transfer portal. I think it is the right thing to do. I do not think it's often best for the kids. And you can have something that's the right thing to allow. Like, I think the transfer portal is absolutely fair. It's right. I think it ultimately does not help the kids. Because what are we when we're 18 and 19? What are we, stupid as shit, right? I mean, we're dumb. We're
going to deja vu.
Yeah,
out on a tab.
Half of your stories when you're 18 and 19 are, me
in Windsor, Canada, trying to get laid.
Right. So again, not great decisions all the time.
No.
And having that deterrent of sitting out can help you. It can help you in life, and there's nothing wrong with it. Again, is it fair? No. So but Izzo struggles to, I think, say that part of it. Right? Is that it's the right thing, even though it he's publicly sort of got to say it. So. I just don't think it affects anything. I just don't. I know that people are worried because there isn't a transfer in the fold right now, but I don't think that I can't imagine is a mature 21-year-old junior transfer that what Izzo thought about the portal, if he's recruiting me, really matters to me.
Next one from Eric Schultz. Will you be in the press box and near Will Tiemann for the spring game? If so, can you tell him from all of us to stop saying over there when describing where the ball is? I can't see the game through my radio, Will. I don't know where there is. Thanks in advance. He got it!
I'll put this request in. Does he say that? I don't listen. I mean, I'm there, so I don't listen that much.
Yeah, I try not to.
Over there. That's great.
Over there. Yeah! I love Will.
I will absolutely put in a request.
That's someone we need to get on the podcast, man.
Yeah,
Will do our show,
and Will's got stories. Like Will is not the square you think he is. Like Will's been around, and he's a self-made man. Will is Will's
stop saying over there.
Yeah, just don't do that.
Still love you. Next one from Eric Schultz and Jeff Haddis. From what you've heard, how active has Izzo been in working the portal this offseason, and why haven't we heard much about Izzo hitting the portal?
I know that they have made some inquiries. I don't know to what extent entirely he's been active. And I think that they are trying to figure out their roster right now, what it's going to look like next year, if they're going to have Max Christie back, what they have. But I just because you don't hear it doesn't mean it's not happening. And I know they've been in contact with some people.
You mean Izzo doesn't have a presser every day when he talks to a possible transfer?
Yeah, and the other thing is the staff has changed, right? So somebody, and I'm just going to tell you from my own personal experience, not having Dwayne Stevens around, just like to kick the tires with anymore on this stuff, is going to require me to do some more work next year. And because he was a guy that, I could text without bothering Izzo and just say, hey, what do you got cooking? And he'd give me a sense of it. A lot of times it wasn't stuff that you could use on the record, but he was somebody who was pretty open about that stuff. And there are other guys you can do that with, but I don't know where Izzo is with the staff, and I don't know exactly what's been going on with the portal. But I wouldn't put too much into the silence. I know some guys are coming off the board. I know you're not seeing them in top fives and other things like that, and I don't know entirely what decisions they've made on the big men. But I wouldn't. I just wouldn't put a whole lot in it. Like, how much did we really know about Tyson Walker before that happened last year? There was a moment where all of a sudden he was, but it was quick. It was like he was on their radar and then it happened. It wasn't like weeks of searching for a guy. So again, it's going to get very interesting very quickly though, because May 1st is the deadline to enter the portal. And I think shortly after that, you'll know where most guys are. Although, the NBA decisions could factor into that too, because they don't have to make that decision by then. They just have to be in the portal. So maybe it will drag out a little longer.
Dominic up next. If Tony Dombrowski constantly says Detroit versus everybody, and Graham hearts a tweet that shows Paulo Banchero, and Jabari Smith hearting a tweet that says Detroit versus everybody, by the transitive property, does Graham heart Tony Dombrowski?
I think he is one of the great parody accounts of all time. I do not believe for a second that he's being serious. I'm sorry, if nobody knows who this is.
Well, get a helmet, because I got news for you. He's dead-ass serious.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way it's a serious account.
Another guest, Teeman Dombrowski.
No way it's a serious account. Like,
yeah.
'cause you see,
you can't fake that.
You see people doing these video game recaps, and some people are really good at them. Former Jack Ebling Spotlight intern, Chris Castellani has done really well with them. He's got 50,000 Twitter followers. He works for Barstool now. He
doesn't sound like a parody account or something. I mean, Dombrowski just likes to do that stuff. It's just funny the way he does it.
But he's got a sponsor. That's why I thought it was a parody. He's got a sponsor. And so I thought and the sponsor takes up he's only got 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and the sponsor takes up 30 of the seconds. Not that we don't give our sponsors fair time here. I'm just saying
we can't talk shit.
I'm just saying that if we only have 220,
Graham doing a live read every other Twitter.
Well, but I'm just saying I thought the whole thing was a bit to make fun of people who do those things. And the sponsorship, I had to look up. If
this is true, then he deserves an Academy Award.
I had to look up to make sure the coffee company was real. That's the sponsor. I thought it was all.
Doing a deep dive on Tony D?
I thought it was a bit. Apparently, it's not a bit.
Oh, it's beautiful. Dominic with this one. Has Graham considered getting an air horn so he can get a word in on Spartan Speak? You have a problem getting a
I think
word
I
in
talk
edgewise?
plenty. I was
about to say.
Because I think Solari even thinks that I talk too much on Spartan Speak.
Just three guys that think each other talk too much.
So
what a show.
Well, Phil must love it. Can you imagine Phil just sitting there having to produce and occasionally talking with me and Solari? What's funny about that show, and I'll give you a little inside baseball on that at one point. Yeah. And we lost this because of it. So in one of our board games, we had one of those little hourglass timers. You turn over and the sand goes through, and that's how much time you have to do whatever. And at one point, I was like, there's not enough banter. Like, you and I banter, right? I mean, sometimes I'll talk forever, but you and I banter back and forth.
Yeah.
Chris and I were doing too much. Somebody talks for 5 minutes. Yeah. Somebody else talks for 5 minutes. So I brought in the time. This is back when we were doing it in person. I brought in the timer to the LSJ, and I said, when this goes in a minute, who's ever talking has to stop talking. And that was meant to
kind of like PTI.
Create more, back and forth and dialogue. And then I lost the timer. And then we pulled out that board game for a family night or something. And again, the timer's missing because it's in the LSJ.
Well, why don't you guys just like hang out and just shoot the shit? I think that's what people want. And I think you guys are so used to going on some of these shows and having to give the longer answer, where I think people just want to hear you guys bullshit.
And I think we bullshit a fair amount.
Okay.
I mean, I like Chris and I hang out on the road quite often, and we get along really well. I think people think we don't get along. We get along really well. We hang out all the time. I mean,
who would win in a fight? Graham Couch or Chris Slay?
Yeah,
you say that's what people always do.
Yeah. Actually, Chris has some deep down. He might.
Oh yeah.
Channel some things that I don't want to mess with.
If he hates you, it's over.
I worry. I do worry. Yeah.
Last one from Dominic. Where the hell is Mad Dog going?
So he's moving to Arkansas.
Bazooka time.
I thought it was Alabama.
Maybe it's Alabama. It's down south.
I think he told me Alabama.
Okay,
yeah.
Could be Alabama.
Yeah.
It's down south. Somewhere too hot for me to visit in the winter.
26 years in the Hall of Fame, Flip. That's what he told me. Time to go. I'm like, all right.
For people who don't know who that is, he's a local Lansing radio host.
Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've known Mad Dog since I was 17. It's crazy. S.J. Davidson. I'm actually in the free room in the Firekeepers Casino tonight, so slots or table games, which one?
Appreciate you, SJ.
Table games.
Yeah, table games entirely. They're just so much more interactive and fun. You're competing.
Losing on a table game, you don't feel as bad as losing on a slot machine.
You feel like the machine was just
sitting next to an 85-year-old just chain-smoking Pall Malls. I'd rather sit next to an 80-year-old smoking Pall Malls.
You can blame, you can blame the dealer too. You can feel like that dealer had it out for me. Whatever, that's.
See, you can never blame the dealer unless they're being an asshole about getting a blackjack or something. Like, oh, again, unfortunate. Like that, you can get mad at, but they're just dealing.
And the table games are where it's at. Like I love sitting at a blackjack table, just love it. And you wish I could trust. Like I'm not a big fan of playing. I've done a little like online blackjack. And I've done okay at it, but I just don't have a sense of like, how do I know somebody's not just back there putting whatever card they want? You know what I mean? Like I don't see it. There's not a deck of cards that I can trust.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So, but table games 100%.
Jeff Addis, how many MSU running backs will transfer after spring ball? Over under 2.5?
Ooh, just the running backs. I say it goes under 2.5.
2.5 seems kind of heavy.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys that I think, may not have huge roles this year, including like Elijah Collins. But I think there are a number of guys. I think there are more than 2.5 guys who probably know they're not going to be the number 1 or 2 guy. But I don't think you'll see all of them transfer. I think you'll see, and certainly at least one of them was already a transfer, right? So he'd have to sit out. My guess is I would go under, and I would say there's one that leaves.
Next one from Jeff Haddis. What is going on with Quivarious Crouch? Seems similar to Ricky White's situation.
I don't know it to be that at all. I believe he's been. I don't know. I believe it's an injury. He's been out the spring. I don't think it's anything else other than that. So he's been out. He has not played this spring, from what I understand. But there's nothing that leads me to believe it's a Ricky White situation.
Stan Schock up next. How could MSU football optimism be tempered over the next 5 years when this collection of high-end talent chose to come to their spring game instead of OSU, Georgia, and Bama, which are all also this weekend?
It's a pretty good collection. It's more than a dozen 4-star and above guys, I think, that are going to be there. That's a pretty good haul and chance to put your best foot forward. That's why Mel Tucker wants fans to be there, and he doesn't want it to look barren. Like this is like you think about that. If you think about it from that perspective, the idea of if Michigan State and look, it's not just if you are at the game or not at the game is not probably going to swing most recruits. But if you just think about it like that for a sec, Michigan State can land 5 more 4-star recruits if I go to the spring game. If you're an MSU fan, that should be your motivation. Like think of it like that. And you may not want to go. It may be cold. You may have other things to do. Maybe you haven't seen your grandma in 2 years and it's Easter Sunday. But grandma might live another year. So
bring her.
Or bring her.
Yeah.
And if she's going to die of hypothermia, let it be at Spartan Stadium.
Why not?
What a memory, right?
A body's a body. Counts. Stay in shock. What happened to Dan Dockich? I liked him doing Big Ten games on ESPN and even agreed with his no game take on the time after he clarified. He sent like 30 straight tweets about Miles Bridges today. Let it go, my man. Even Desmond Howard doesn't still complain about Eddie Brown.
It was weird. It kept popping up, and I thought I had him muted, so I was a little weird that it kept popping. Like, other people must be sharing it or something because I'm seeing it. I don't know.
I've never been happier to be blocked by someone.
Yeah, it was
douche.
Yeah, it was weird. The Miles Bridges thing was, his obsession is
and the problem is Dockich is talented. He's just getting in his own way. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you going to alienate yourself from being on games and stuff? I don't know.
If Dan Dockich alienates you, let me recommend Groovy Donuts to get rid of that. Like, it makes me his name makes me want to eat a donut and get away and just have peace in a corner or something like that.
Tony Dombrowski's jealous of this live read.
This is fantastic. But seriously, Easter donuts are here. So, and these are really cool. They do a lot of cool holiday donuts. I love what they have for their Easter donuts. They're available from Friday through Sunday, okay? Cottontails, Easter chicks, Easter eggs, Easter egg hunt donuts, Peeps donuts, some really cool stuff. You can place an order and pre-order and have them all ready for you. Go to groovydonuts.com or go to either location. That's on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston.
Professor, or did you answer? Did we talk about the last one from Shock? Oh, Dockich, yes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Professor, how many people in the stands on Saturday at MSU is considered a success? If the over-under was 12,000, which would you take? Does it even matter? Certain recent columns aside.
I would take heavy over 12 because I think there is a call. I've seen these things work in action. I'm not saying just the column, but the coach wanting it, like there a momentum about, like the people. These things actually, momentum works for these sort of things. Like there will be, I would say, at least 20,000 there.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I think I would set the over under at 20 at about where it would be. And that
Are
to
those
me
juiced stats though, because I've seen 20,000 in Spartan Stadium before.
We'll call it real. 20,000 in a 75,000 seat stadium doesn't look that huge. The real key is you're not going to have it in the upper deck because who wants to sit in the upper deck at a spring game when it's 41 degrees?
But if you're not taking tickets, how do you get an accurate count?
Well, you can kind of sell it or tell it by just looking around and
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start counting.
I have been at Mid-American Conference games where we've counted the crowd. Miami, Ohio, 2011. Thank you very much. 165. But I think they announced like 7,000 or something like that. But you can get a sense. And I think if there are 20, 25,000 there in the lower bowl, it'll feel like an atmosphere. And that's what you really want. You don't need it to be a packed house. You don't want it to feel empty. You want it to feel like an atmosphere, to feel like something that's an event. If you get 20, 25,000, it'll feel okay in there, and I think that'll work with recruits. You just want to do it well enough that everything else Michigan State's trying to do, they're able to have a chance to get work. You don't want a recruit walking away going, damn, nobody goes to MSU spring game. Like,
yeah,
what
but
the
is
hell
there
that?
anything going on before the spring game or during or anything? I mean, there's a lot of brilliant marketing people on campus, and I just feel like there's nothing going on.
Chris Solari actually had a really good idea. And when I say actually, I'm serious. Actually, no, I'm kidding. The other day we were talking. He said to have it at Ford Field indoors, make an event of it in Detroit, put it on the move, and do something fun there.
You have to do more than like a skills challenge or whatever.
You can do whatever, but you're indoors, so you have more possibilities.
But I really don't want to drive to Ford Field if you're just going to do some sort of drills. I mean, there has to be somewhat like a semblance of a game or some matchup stuff, or I don't know. Ron Kixiotti. Over under 2.5. How many Spartans are drafted in the NFL draft in 2 weeks?
Okay, so it's obviously Kenneth Walker. I don't know beyond. I think Hayward's going to get drafted late. After that, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see with Naylor. I don't know that he will. I would go under. Usually when you think, like I've covered a lot of these things, there have been a couple years where there's just been a lot of guys, but usually when you think a guy is a 6th or 7th round guy, he does not get drafted. That's my history. I would go under.
All right, next one from Ron. What could this potential Malik Hall position change mean for MSU?
Means they're a bigger lineup, for sure. And I don't think it's an issue with Malik. The thing that Malik Hall gives you is because he's a versatile defender, he can defend the 3. You know that. So that's fine. Maybe it makes you a better rebounding team. he's got to, and he was this for most of the year. He's above a 50% three-point shooter for a lot of the season. And really his professional future being something more than Europe is going to require him to be a marksman from outside. There's no question about that. Like, he is not a true power forward size in the NBA. He's going to have to be a, guy who can hit open shots, who can defend multiple positions. And I don't know whether he can get to, but to me, he's got to have to be a really, and I think we saw enough of him to think he'll be a shooter next year. It'll be interesting to see. We see his post game against smaller defenders and how much success he has. I think that's the other added part of this. Just because he's at the three doesn't mean you don't post him up. What kind of he had trouble with later in the year was how defenses were playing him, and longer defenders gave him trouble. I think that's the one other advantage of playing him at the three. Again, we'll see how all that works if Matt Christie comes back. And I think that's probably less than 50-50. But if he does, and you start to just do the numbers, and you look at the backcourt and all the guys who are going to require minutes, and the front court and the guys who are going to require minutes, it's tough to think that Malik Hall won't also spend a lot of time at the four.
Ron Q, last one from him. What could go wrong with drafting a corner in the top 3 for Detroit? Tell me one time that hasn't worked out.
Yeah. You know what the worst part is? Whenever they draft a corner, I think about like Westbrook, and then I think about Terry Fair. It's just not a great. I mean,
I have to stop watching NFL draft coverage because I'm like trying to talk myself into Sauce Gardner today.
Yeah,
I'm like, would I be mad at Sauce Gardner? When you draft Akuda and he blows out his ankle,
well, that's the problem.
What happens.
But
you paint yourself into a corner.
You can't let past failures completely ruin what your instinct is now, right?
Absolutely not. We've seen it all as Lions fans.
Yeah,
a tight end at 8. I mean, come on.
I think that was a pretty
draft
good
another
pick,
cornerback. Ebron?
Not Ebron, but
Hawkinson. I'm talking about Ebron.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Hawkinson. It's still crazy to draft a tight end there too. But Jarrett, how would you like to see Spartan Stadium upgraded? Skyman.
A Skyman stand. Like when you walk in, it comes with an edible ticket. You give us a ticket,
everyone
we give you an
takes
edible.
One.
Everybody, it would be a more mellow crowd.
Like one of those crackers at church that people walk up and grab.
There'd be no booing.
No.
Unless everybody started booing and you just thought it was what you're supposed to do, so then you started booing too. So there might be some
people's true colors would still be there, though. Even though you're high, it just doesn't automatically turn you into a nice person.
Right. That would
still be some booze,
The big thing for me, and again, I don't sit in the crowd anymore. I always, and so I think for a lot of people, like for me, Spartan Stadium, when I am in the crowd area, it's nostalgic because of growing up, and I like a lot of it. But what you want is you want easier restrooms, you want more space underneath. You probably want, I don't know, do you want nicer seats? Like, I don't think you need that. It's a 3-hour football game 7 times a year.
3-hour football.
3.5-hour football, whatever it is. I don't know. But the big thing is I want Skyman, but I also want
benches
alcohol.
really, especially if you have a white man ass like I do, it's brutal.
Better seats, fewer seats then? I think
I would like newer seats, yeah.
Yeah.
More bathrooms. Jarrett, does Malik Hall have any chance in the NBA if he sticks with the 4 position he currently plays?
I don't think so. Well, yes. Take that back. We'll fix that in post. Take it out.
Yep.
Excellent. I don't think it matters what position he's at. He needs his game to evolve to. He's just not that tall. Is his problem? He's not that long, and I always pictured him having a chance to grow into certain elements of Draymond Green, but Draymond Green had an edge to him that mattered when he got to the NBA. And Draymond Green, he'll tell you, the thing he could do at an NBA level, the only thing he could do at an NBA level as a rookie, was rebound. But that got him on the court. So for Malik Hall, he's got to find something that he can grow into at an NBA level by the time he's done at MSU. And he could do 2 more years because of that extra COVID year. And maybe that's becoming a true 50% three-point shooter. If you do that at 6'7", you're intriguing, right? If you can become a marksman, and if you can have a little more versatility to your game, because I don't know that he's going to be big enough to guard most 4s at the pro level. I don't know if he can get to be that defender. But if he can become a marksman, maybe he'll have a chance. And that doesn't matter what position you play in college. They'll figure it out at the next level.
Last one from Jarrett. If MSU Ultimate Frisbee makes it to Nationals, any chance for a story on them?
I would never
Yes.
say no. Yeah, of course. I'm an Ultimate Frisbee college Ultimate Frisbee alum, by the way. I was on the Columbia College Ultimate Frisbee
Sounds
team
like
briefly.
it.
Yeah. We went out there.
Hello there, young people. You mind if I play through?
Ultimate
Frisbee.
I was not bad. I was surprised.
I've always wanted to play.
It's intense. It's fun. It's
intense.
It's a lot of
you
work.
Get stoned and throw a frisbee at a goddamn chain thing.
There's a lot of running in Ultimate, man. A lot of running.
Why are you running? It's like golf, but you throw the thing, right?
No, you're thinking of frisbee golf.
Oh shit, he's talking about
Ultimate is like on a football field.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I was like, what is he talking about? I remember being exhausted at the end of the thing.
Skyman's kicking in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joel Green. Can we get a Sky Minted segment on YouTube trying to read the names of Colombian cities of Google Maps? Another try at Medellin. Locally, it's Medellin. I didn't know there was a J.
I thought it was Medellin.
I really thought it was. I've heard Medellin.
Yeah. But we've only heard it because we watched one show on HBO that pronounced it that way. That's the reason we know.
I'm guessing Joel is like right there or something. He knows.
Yeah. So, yeah, we clearly don't know.
Yeah. Andrew Gauthier. Is it reasonable to ask fans to show up on a chilly Saturday to watch drills? The athletic department would be wise to make this more of an event atmosphere, allowing tailgating and offer something incentivized for people to come. Most 35-year-olds with a couple of kids aren't coming out just because they might sway a recruit or two. You can bet there won't be many students there. You have to create an atmosphere beyond, hey, it's a football team. I mean, it's someone that's going to drive from Detroit or Traverse City or Petoskey to watch the Oklahoma drill.
So Andrew brings up some good points here.
Right.
I will say most 35-year-olds with a couple of kids are thinking, yeah, let's leave them and this is something to do. But you run around the stadium, have at it. But the other, and I agree, there should be more to it. Like it should be a big tailgating day, and you could do that. You could make it like a spring tailgate, make it fun. Like just because, and you wouldn't even have to have assigned tailgate lots because it's fewer people. It wouldn't even have to be like the fall. You could have a lot more open tailgating and make it a lot of fun for people and just make it a party. And that's something maybe they should absolutely look at. I do think, though, I have no problem with not going as long as you're not also complaining about the recruiting class.
As long as you're doing something else and you can prove it.
Well, no, I'm the one who
Did
said,
you go to the spring game? What were you doing then?
No, I'm the one who said the Ohio State folks didn't have much life balance, right? I don't think anybody should have to go to a spring football game. I would not go to this game if I wasn't covering it. I would not go to this practice.
It's not a game, though.
It's not a practice.
If it were a game, I would go.
But I also wouldn't be on a message board or on Twitter after they don't get a recruit bitching about it. If you think you might be that person, you should go to the game. That's all I'm saying.
So if you don't go, then you can't talk shit about recruiting. That's the rule.
Not for this calendar year.
Wow.
Or for any, I would say this. You can't talk shit about any of the guys who take their visit, are there on a visit, based on what they do. If anybody MSU doesn't get, you got to
Come on, Mel, let's get some recruits.
Keep it zipped.
Did you go to the spring game? No? Okay, you can't talk. Gautier with this one. The chatter between MSU fans and Michigan fans on Twitter is getting effing ridiculous. Neither team has really established the upper hand over the past decade plus. It's fairly even, but you'd think one or the other has been dominant based on who posts.
And that's really in multiple sports, right? It's
yeah.
There's some really asinine stuff on there, and people get fired up about it. And neither side, most of the people doing it have done zero to contribute to it. It's just typical rivalry stuff. But you know what? Sometimes, as stupid as it is and as annoying as it is, it's better that people fight over these tribal things and other more serious things because, you
shouldn't be able to talk shit on Twitter about your rival if you don't go to the spring game. Rule number 2. Next one from Gautier. Is it okay to request social media recognition in exchange for donation requests? Since the pandemic is winding down, we're getting several donation requests every week and aren't in a financial position to support all of them. For those we do, is it kosher to ask for recognition?
No, I don't think so. Because you're doing it for the wrong reason. If you want to donate to somebody, now, if you donate to me, if this is a business transaction donation type thing where you're helping out another small business, that small business should give you recognition. Like I would do it if I were that small business. But I don't think you can ask for it. Or maybe you can. It would be hard for me to do.
I used to go to Max Comedy Night back in the day, and I would get shit hammered and watch these stand-up comedians that were like open micers. And one night they had a jar for kind of like tips and like help support the comedy night. I put $100 bill in there, but they didn't see me do it. So I grabbed it back. I grabbed it out of the thing and then tried doing it again. And then I think they saw it, but then just ignored me.
Did they see you grab it out?
I don't think so. I don't know. I was hammered. But I was like, I wanted recognition. I wanted them to see me. I didn't want, like, I'm not going to be there when they count the money. I'm like, oh shit, someone donated $100. I figured they would like be on stage on the mic, like, thank you, kind sir, for the $100 donation.
Was there anybody else you were trying to impress there that you did that?
No, I don't know what I was doing.
$100, that's some serious coin. There are times in your life where you haven't had $100.
Oh, there's a lot of times I haven't had $100. It's my name. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that was like post car accident.
Oh yeah, that's shit, so you got the cash is flowing.
Just putting $100 bills in people's pockets and shit.
I love it. Well, that is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. And if you're thinking about brunch this weekend, I'm telling you, Midtown Brewing Company, ever expanding brunch menu, just some outstanding stuff. Mimosa flights, and just a good vibe. It's a good relaxed vibe. As I always say, cozy but spacious, but they do that well. I'm telling you right now, outstanding brunch. Give it a shot. Saturday or Sunday, they open at 11, and enjoy the menu, and let us know what you think, because I'm telling you right now, you are going to like what they have, and that's 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing.
Last one from Andrew Gauthier. Has the Tigers' mediocre start given you pause about how good this season might be for them? Seems like the same old story. Pitching is very suspect and not enough boom in the lineup to cover it up.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
I think it's early.
Both teams have athletes.
Yeah,
it's early.
I didn't like Javi Baez getting scratched from the lineup tonight again. I don't like those things happening. I don't know. I can tell all year I'm not going to be able to trust this team, and they may get on a run that's good or bad. At some point they'll have a 7-game losing streak. At some point they'll have a 7-game winning streak, and I just hope I'm ready to jump on them or the other team at that point. It's so hard to bet. It's not that I'm not betting them. I'm betting them most nights. Most nights I fire up the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app and put money on the Tigers or live bet against them if I think it's going wrong, and half the time I'm wrong at this point. I don't have a feel. I don't know if you have a feel or not.
I don't at the moment, but I think that their bats are too good. They're better than they were last year. That's why I don't think there's no room for this 7-game streak, the losing streak kind of stuff anymore. You kind of have to grow out of that, right? I think I'll be disappointed if those things happen a couple times throughout the season. But as of right now, gambling wise, I'm waiting for the right series or something.
And maybe the Kansas City Royals right now is it. I don't know. The opening with the White Sox and Red Sox, it's a tough start, right? Those are lineups that are unforgiving and all that jazz.
Chris Eastlick. Graham, I read your column on John Horford and his efforts around Lansing. Did he happen to mention a more important story, that he was a critical member of Team Eastlick in the Tri-Cities celebrity basketball game? Kidding, of course, but it was cool to play with him.
He did not mention it. It did not come up. But
Chris Eastlick, you play basketball?
But that game came up. So I take this back. If this was a game that was 2 Saturdays ago or something like that, 2 Sundays ago, it absolutely came up, because that was one of the days that I was canvassing and walking around with him while he was canvassing, I should say. And he had to go to that game later in the day and play basketball. It was like a snowy Saturday, I believe. That was the game. So if that's the game, it was the first time he had played in 2 years. So I'm guessing this did come up. You did not come up, but you should have, because I'm sure it went well. And he actually, at the end of the day, said, I haven't played in 2 years, but I'm starting to look for basketball games. So he may play in a couple of my pickup runs. If
you made the team, Eastlick.
So you did well. But, yeah, John Horford, 6'9". I see. The problem is I like to win. Like, what if I show up with Horford and he's not on my team?
I don't know.
I'm not going to win.
As long as you don't take your shirt off, it's a win for everyone.
Who takes their shirts off? This is not 1984. Nobody plays shirts for skin. Skins? Nobody does that anymore.
God, I used to be terrified of skins. Like when I was in school, it's like, please, I don't want to be skins.
You didn't want to be skins?
No, hell no, dude. I had like I was built like a Christmas ham. I had no physique. Like, why would I want to take my shirt off? All these other kids that are like 15 in the 7th grade, are, they're all yoked. Taking my shirt off.
They're kind of those are the kids who wind up being 21-year-old freshmen of the year
First
in the Big Ten.
Mustache.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. What happened to me though at some point is it reversed. I remember playing in an old man game in Kalamazoo when I first moved there. Such an old man game that they did not play with a 3-point line, which is the dumbest thing in the world. But they were shirts and skins, and I would beg to be skins because guarding the skins sucks, man. Like guarding in the post some guy without a shirt. It's Along Came Polly. It's that movie. It comes to life. It's just disgusting. It's
one time Davey Larson, we were in gym class. It was 7th grade, and he pulled down his pants to show his pubic hair, and we're like, "Oh my god!" And then one kid goes, "But Davey, you're like 16 in the 7th grade. You should have pubic hair."
That's a great line.
Yeah,
it's a great line.
Next one from Eastlick. What MSU football player that's not a freshman do you think has a make or break season this year to get in the rotation?
Well, it's not a freshman. I mean, you have to like Keon Coleman. I mean, I don't think that's bullshit. I think that's
actually you have to be a fan of Keon.
You don't have to. What I mean is he seems like a logical person who has immense natural talent, who started to figure out the position last year, and seems in line to have. I don't want to call it a make or break season because you talk about make or break guys. There are guys that you start to wonder about the Jalen Hunt, so to speak, the guys who are their careers are either going to take off or they're not. I do think at receiver there are enough dudes that you can get stuck behind somebody. But I there are guys like Simeon Barrow, on the defensive line. There are guys that I think are going to be really interesting to watch here early, but I guess to some level it is make or break because once you figure things out, if your talent doesn't show, it's probably never going to show beyond a certain point.
Next one from Chris Eastlick. Is Jason ready for severe weather alert season? Oh no. Every time I see a chance of thunderstorms now, I think, oh boy, I hope this isn't going to be a long night at the Rube household. Has one of those ever saved a life? Like one time, has someone been alerted to go in their basement 94 times during a baseball game? Scares your dog? It's just my one question.
I'm sure.
Is there a success story? I'm sure there's maybe one, but one is not a reason to have 55 fucking weather alerts. And by the way, I'm just asking if you could do it maybe on a scroll or something like that. Do you have to have a goddamn dial-up sound? Beep, boop, like, why is it that? Why do you have to scare my dog? Scare me. Don't scare the dog.
What would be a pleasant sound that would get the message across but wouldn't scare people? Like, should it be like
your voice?
Yeah, just a nice, easy, soft.
Beware, weather coming soon. Beware.
Some heavy breathing.
Kalamazoo. Beware. Fart Soup. Who is your Mount Rushmore of hated Tigers? Bobby Higginson, Tony Clark, Brandon Inge.
Do you have a hated Tigers like you see them and you go, fuck that guy?
Man, I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I
mean, Juan Gonzalez, I guess, but I'm thankful that he turned down that
big deal
Tigers offer, I guess. But
I have a few of them. I mean, one for sure is Omar Infante.
Interesting.
So weirdly,
gambling related?
No, not at all. Omar Infante is this guy who hit some years he hit 270.
Yeah.
I never saw a single hit though. I swear to you. I watched a lot of Tigers games.
For his defense.
It's like one of those guys. There are guys who bat 220, but every time you see him hit, they get a hit. And there are guys who bat 270 that just so happens every time I'm watching, they never get hit. Omar Infante never, and I learned to hate Omar Infante. He drove me absolutely batshit. I could not stand him.
I mean, really, people hated Tony Clark? I thought he was
that whole era
university love.
Whole era was frustrating though. It was
Inge. A lot of people liked Inge though. Anyway, Fart Soup. How the F do I stream Tiger games in NYC? Seems impossible.
The MLB package, right? I mean, that's what you got to do. You can do that through the online.
It's like $14.99 a month, I think, or $24.
It's not horrible. If you want to watch a lot, I mean, in terms of bang for your buck, the MLB stuff is actually better than most because they play so many games. So if you're going to watch a lot of games, it's worth it.
Fart Soup. Who wins in a weather battle, Chris Eastlick or Darren Rockell?
Whew. I mean, I love me some Rockell, but this is Eastlick's world, and we're just living in it. So I'm going with Chris,
You got to go with Eastlick, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clint Bainey. Who will be MSU's starting front four on the defensive line in the fall?
Boy, That's a
And by the way, we're Team Eastlick until Rockell starts writing in Twitter questions.
no.
We'll be
Eastlick,
Team Rockell.
I firmly believe that Eastlick controls the weather. Like I don't want
It's
to piss
fun.
him
It's like a blackjack dealer. You like to blame someone.
Yes. All right. So, front four, Jacob Slade is certainly going to be a part of that, right? I mentioned Simeon Barrow. I think he's going to be a terrific player. So, but Hunt could be in that mix too. A guy that was interesting that was mentioned the other day is a guy they like, Brandon Wright, the converted running back, is sort of a just natural ability rusher, something that Brandon Jordan's been working with a lot. I'm curious to see him because they don't really have an edge guy, and I believe there's that sort of thing could be taken. But those would be Maverick Hansen, obviously, is a guy in there that I would say is in that top four. So there's a starting lineup in there somewhere.
All right, Clint Bainey. Who will be MSU starting front four on the defensive line in the fall?
I think you just read that.
Did I? Shit. Clint Bainey.
Thanks for listening.
Jesus. Skyman's hitting. Next one from Clint. Are you concerned that MSU will perpetually turn linebackers overdue to the fact we only put 2 on the field at any time?
I think you're going to see more 4-3. Like Darius Snow's moving to linebacker, and I think they're going to do more 4-3 if it works with the matchups. And but I do think as long as they're just playing 2, it's a position that's hard to recruit to and hard to keep in a transfer portal.
Did you
world.
know that Noah Harvey doesn't wear a wristband during games?
I did not.
Oh. Next one from Clint Bainey.
That's Cal Halliday you're thinking of, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Who will ultimately just stop asking questions tonight. Who will ultimately be our highest ranked recruit for the 2023 class on the Gridiron?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, there are a lot of guys coming in who are heralded dudes.
We need names, Couch.
Yeah, I can't do that for you. I'll give you this. I think they get a 5-star. I think they wind up with a 5-star in this class. And we said the over-under was 7 on 4 stars. And I feel like there's they wind up with, I'm going to make a prediction now.
Uh-oh.
1 5-star, 7 4 stars, 8 total 4-star or above. Is that not good? Is that not decent? I think that's pretty good.
Someone's not going to be happy no matter what happens.
As long as it's the spring game, they got the right to complain.
James Harden up next. The James Harden? Seems like either Noah Kim or Hamp Fay hit the transfer portal after the spring game. Same with either Simmons or Collins. Any inside scoop?
I mean, I would not be surprised if a quarterback checks out. I don't have an inside scoop on those guys. To me, same with the running back situation. I tend to think that Elijah Collins has accepted being a program guy, that he likes it there, that he's a bright kid, that he's but you never know when he's got an itch to prove it, because I don't think either one of those guys is going to be part of the mix. And it's definitely, I don't think, going to be Elijah Collins. I don't think Joyner either. I mean, I think those 3 guys I don't think are going to be part of the mix. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, Ephraim Reed today, the running backs coach, talked pretty favorably about the roles they have and the things they provide. And, I mean, it's just the problem at running back is there are only a couple spots. You're only going to play 2, maximum 3 guys a game. And so somebody will leave, I think. And same at quarterback. I find it – Noah Kim, I think is a guy that they would love to stick around, because I do have a sense that if there was a short-term injury sort of deal, that he might be the guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if he stays around for that. If you're Hamp Fay, though, and you see all the love for Caton Hauser, and I think a lot of it for Hamp Fay will not just depend on what's in front of him, it's what's behind you. If you're a young quarterback and a younger quarterback you feel like is going to pass you, then you start to look around. So I do think you'll probably lose 1 quarterback, 1 running back, and that's going to be pretty standard.
Next one from Jimbo. I see Paulo. How do you say his last name? Bancaro?
Bancaro.
Yeah. As a taller Cade Cunningham, but not as good in any of the skill sets. I would hope Pistons get to draft Jabari Smith, as he has the shooting skill needed. Who would you take if Holmgren is off the board?
I like Smith a lot. Bancaro, there are things he does that you're like, boy, that guy is going to be fine at the NBA level. And we were talking to James about this and about the different pitfalls with all these guys, right? And Jabari Smith is 2-point scoring. Bancaro sort of, when he's doesn't have the ball, sort of doesn't have a role. I think he's very different than Cade in a lot of ways. It's a good question. I love Keegan Murray, but I agree with James that his pro ceiling is probably just really good player, which can be okay. The problem in the NBA, though, is, Jason, tell me if you agree with this, but you want to, like, stars win, and you got to take a shot at a star. Like, I think if they wind up with a pick where one of these guys that you think could be a star is available, you got to take a shot.
But also, if you can get a solid player, though, I mean, is there a solid star that you see in this draft? I don't see a Cade Cunningham in this draft. So there's not really a star player in the draft. You're going to gamble with Chet Holmgren, right?
And here's the thing.
I mean, you need guys like Keegan Murray, though, to win championships.
Absolutely. And if Holmgren's around, I think they'll take him. But the other thing is, more than any other GM or executive in Detroit, I think Troy Weaver's earned trust because he's had 4 first-round picks, and 3 of them look like mainstays. That's really hard to do. Like, even in first-round picks, that doesn't happen in the NBA. So, and even Killian Hayes, even though he's probably not going to wind up working out, looks now like a guy who may stick in the league at least. Like, even your bust is probably not going to be out of the league. So, to me, what he likes, what he thinks they need, what I'm willing to sort of roll with that and
but
get on board.
Can you really blame him for Killian Hayes, though, even if he does fall out of the league? I mean, you have to take a risk on some of these guys.
Absolutely.
You talk to them in pre-draft and everything, and they wow you. Sometimes they just fall off.
You get a 19-year-old, what is he, a 6'7" French point guard. I got no problem with taking a shot on that guy. Yeah. I got no problem with it because that's some of those guys pan out. That's how you get to have a great team. Sadiq Bey was I think the safer pick, and he wound up being better than anybody realized. And I think he's going to be a starter for a decade in the NBA.
Last one from James Harden. Should I grow a full beard? P.S. I don't travel every time I take a step back three-pointer.
Grow a playoff beard, James, just for the playoffs. I don't know, what your marital situation is, what your kids will think, whatever, but I do think a badass beard for the playoffs would be awesome.
What does this marital situation have to do with it?
Sometimes your wife might not like the beard or might not like the facial hair.
It's true. Therese doesn't like a mustache. If I just had a mustache, she wouldn't like it.
I'd like to see in just a mustache.
I just told you my future wife doesn't like it. I'm not going to do it for you, Couch. I'm sorry.
That's a good point.
I love you, man. Mr. Benjen, what's the best case scenario for the spring game and the worst?
Is this attendance or,
That would be the worst.
Yeah. So the best case scenario, I think, is probably 30,000. And it's over what more than expected. If you got a beautiful day, if they'd hit, we had that day the other day that was like sunny and 70. If you hit sunny and 70, I might give you 35,000. I think 30 is probably way high, but you're talking best case scenario, 30,000. Worst case scenario is south of 10.
250 people.
Well, south of 10,000 in that stadium begins to really feel sparse, and it becomes hard to make it'll feel like people didn't give a shit, even if 10,000 people is a lot of people. Like, think about this. If 10,000 people, and this is something that needs to be explained to football coaches, if 10,000 people show up to the spring game, there is nothing else short of MSU basketball in this area that 10,000 people will show up to ever, to anything. The biggest rallies at the Capitol don't get 10,000 people. So sometimes our expectations for what is a lot of people are skewed by this world where we just put up a stadium and 80,000 people waddle in. Like, it's just not. 10,000 people is still a lot of people. But the problem is that won't feel like it to recruits.
Next one from Mr. Benjen. I just slept 11 hours straight. Feel like ass. What's the longest you've ever slept?
What do you got?
Yeah, he's got me beat for hours straight, but when I had the flu, I was just in bed all day and sleeping on and off, so I know I slept for more than 11, but yeah, straight, he's got me beat. I think maybe 10 hours or something.
I've done 12 straight, I think. But usually it's medicated.
I was about to say, there's no way you can do it sober.
It's not usually it's a combination of Skymint and Tylenol PM of the right dose, which I highly recommend.
Just take some melatonin.
Probably should do that.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It works. Gluten Weasel. What helps recruiting and image more than from a crowd standpoint? Big showing at the spring game or staying for the fourth quarter in a November blowout? That's a good question.
That's a good question. It should be the fourth quarter of a November game, but
in a blowout?
But are recruits there in a November game? I don't think so, right? Usually? It's not really a recruiting time.
And how is the blowout going? Is it going Michigan State's way, or is Michigan State getting blown out?
Right. So, I would say it's the spring game. I would say it's whenever recruits are there, right? And if you're going to have a dozen or so 4-star plus guys in one weekend on unofficial visits, then this is the time. Because if you got, even if you got a couple guys or it's noticed on TV, it's not as bad.
But I don't know why that you have to stay to an end of a game, or if you go to a spring game, it makes you a bigger fan or something like that. I mean, I feel like you're just like being told what to do and stuff you don't really want to do. These games are 4 hours long, and a spring game isn't a game. It's just they're just tossing the ball around and doing drills. There's no entertainment in that.
I'm telling you, if you've never been to Skymint before and you're thinking about this spring game and you feel like you probably ought to go, and you're not excited about it, go to Skymint first. Make this your maiden voyage with Skymint. Let them guide you on your cannabis journey like they have the Rube and I. I mean, tell people what they expect when they get into a Skymint. What is the vibe, Jason?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to take another 5 mgs.
Excellent. It's going to go off the rails in a little while.
Very, very – well, I'm not driving. It's not like I'm driving a bus. We're just talking sports and
driving a show here,
what are we doing? Expecting what? Oh, Skymint. It's really clean in there. I'm telling you, get the caramels behind the counter. They're amazing.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully
saved my life. Thank you, Skymint.
The show is going to get really interesting the next hour here.
Yeah, we better hurry up before this kicks in.
We've got a ton more of your Twitter questions coming up. We're going to take a really quick break here. Jay Riemenschneider, Cygnus X2, Mullen Lobby Spartan, Steve Beckman, Sports Guy, Al, Mojo Jojo, Bo McJunkins, and so on, Gideon, so on and so forth. Coming up, Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers Casinos and iCasino Sportsbook and app.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Trust matters, especially when it's your money. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management work hard to build a relationship of trust by providing thoughtful, objective guidance and placing your interests first. Invest with knowledgeable financial advisors who are on your side. Call today and tell them you're a friend of the show for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. 248-626-2000 and ask for Mark or Jay. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers iCasino Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Play the games with us this weekend. All right, we are answering your groovy donut Twitter questions. Jason, you back at it?
I'm back at it, man. Jay Riemenschneider, I know he's local and he can get on campus at any time, but why didn't Mel Tucker and staff have Dante Moore visiting MSU this weekend with the rest of the big-time recruits? Instead, I think he heard that he'll be in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I don't know where he'll be. My sense on Dante Moore is that not that they're not recruiting him, but do you hear that sound?
What sound?
Oh, it's just my headphones.
Yeah.
Metalwar Jewelers commercial in my headphones. You don't hear that?
I don't hear that.
Okay. All right. I'm not.
I'm the one that took SkyMint.
Yeah. You're not the only one that took SkyMint. I mean, sometimes.
Oh,
it's possible. To answer the question on Dante Moore, I don't know that they're. I don't want to say they're not recruiting him. They are absolutely recruiting him. I don't get the sense he's as much of a priority as he was at one point, and I could be wrong on that. I think they really like Caton Hauser. They took another kid in Dante Moore's class already that they like okay, but I think part of that was because they like Hauser a lot. And, I mean, I saw Dante Moore at he was on a visit with them during a basketball practice and all that stuff. So I don't know all the specifics. I don't think they've stopped recruiting him. But all these guys have to make decisions on where they want to be. And like the earlier listener wrote about, some guys who had the option to be at other big-time programs looking at MSU. He may have just decided he wanted to look at Michigan. But I don't have information. My sense, though, is the recruiting of him has become less intense and less focused on him than it was a while back.
Next one from Jay. What is it like to be a fan of, say, a Rutgers or Texas Tech or an Oregon State teams that have no history or tradition in football or men's basketball and are never predicted to do anything of significance?
Yeah, I mean, well, Texas Tech's had a pretty good run of late, but no doubt. I mean, if you're a Michigan State or Michigan fan, like this state, to have two schools, the caliber of the two major programs that they are is just rare, and is something that is. I mean, fans are lucky.
But if you're a Rutgers fan, you should just move, right?
Well,
find a new team.
But if you're a fan, you're a fan. It's my argument with the Premier League soccer stuff. You don't choose your fandom.
Yeah,
your
bullshit,
fandom chooses you.
No one chooses Rutgers football.
You chose. Did you choose the
school.
Lions? What's worse?
Oh God, the Lions.
Well, then why are you a Lions fan?
Because I don't know what else to do, Graham.
Well, that's what Rutgers football fans say. They're having the same conversation right now. Two guys in a basement going, I don't know what else to do. I got to root for Rutgers.
Oh, I hate you, Lions. I can never win an argument in anything because of the Lions. Jay, with this one. Ohio State ain't slowing down anytime soon, so who would you predict to be the number 2 team in the Big Ten East for the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's a great question. I tend to think that something goes wrong at Penn State at some point, right? Franklin's been pretty consistent, at least being solid. He recruits well, even when he screws up games. But my sense is, is he there for the next 5 years? I don't know.
Where's he going?
That's a great question. Maybe he's not. Maybe, it's hard to know. Certainly Michigan State and Michigan have a chance to be that. But I don't know that it'll be any one school. I don't know that it'll be a situation, because if you've got a number of winning programs, who's number 2 and maybe occasionally number 1 over Ohio State will fluctuate in a given year. But I think there are, obviously at least 3 programs that have a chance to be in that conversation each year.
Next one from Jay. How many podcasts or radio shows do you guys really like and listen to on a regular basis, sports or otherwise?
How many podcasts do you listen to?
I listen to Drew and Mike. They do a podcast, 5 days a week? I listen to that, and that's like 2.5 hours long each episode. So other than that, and then we do our show, so I don't really listen to any other Michigan State stuff. So I would just say the one, maybe some Joe Rogan's on Spotify here and there, but yeah, just them, Drew and Mike.
Yeah, I listen to a few. I mean, it depends on the year. Like lawn mowing season, listen to a lot of podcasts, right? Because that's what I do.
How long does it take to mow your lawn, though?
Depends. Sometimes it's a good.
How many square feet are we talking here? I mean, I've seen your house; it's very beautiful. But I'm saying, like your backyard,
inside of an hour. It's not more than an hour.
Really?
Yeah,
an hour.
Yeah, it's a fairly. It's not a huge. Yeah, it takes an hour.
All right,
it takes an hour about. And I'm not going, 600 miles an hour. But yeah, I listen to a few other podcasts. I listen to a couple sports podcasts, not a lot. And I like, I used to like listen to like You're Wrong About, which I think is a fun podcast. If you ever get a chance to go back and listen to those originals, it sort of takes something you've got a lot of O.J. Simpson stuff in there, things you think you know, and it sort of dispels myths of things we sort of taken for granted for a long time. But yeah, I don't listen to any other podcasts regularly, to say the least, like you do with Drew and Mike.
Yeah. Singus X2. MSU football, fill in the blank. I'm tempering my expectations on this player position group in 2022. My expectations are sky high for this player position group, and I wouldn't be surprised if insert hot take actually happened in 2022.
Tempering expectations for this position group would be, and I don't know that expectations are all that high, but the offensive line is the group that I would say it would have the most concern about, and could really hold this group back. And maybe it won't. There are some veterans there. There's some young guys that might come along. I'm curious to see them a little bit at the spring game, but that's the group that it just takes a lot for me to believe in a Michigan State offensive line with all that's happened to that offensive line since I've been covering the team. Expectations sky high for this player position group. Obviously, receiver I think could be tremendous. I think the tight end position could be tremendous. But I'll give you one here. I think at defensive back is going to be the most improved position at corner. And obviously there's a lot of room to improve, but I think the depth is going to help tremendously. I don't know what their ceiling is. I think they'll have a couple really good players, but I think you'll have the depth to have enough talent, even when you get a few injuries, to be the same team in November at that position that you were in September. And wouldn't be surprised, insert hot take here, if this actually happened in 2022. I would not be surprised if before Michigan State loses to Ohio State, they also lose at home to Minnesota.
Molon Lobby Spartan. Coach Tucker talked about the nutrition staff and how he's in the weight loss group. When will we see a Couch in the Rube weight loss challenge over under 20 pounds lost?
It doesn't sound like much fun.
Can I count during the flu? Because I'm down to 230.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude.
I know. I can't go much lower than that because I'll start looking scary. Well,
not only that, your head is like 210 of it. So
yeah, I can't look like a bobblehead.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm done losing weight. 230 is where I kind of sit. So.
Plus, in case you didn't know.
I mean, Graham, you're good for 20.
Sponsored by a donut shop, Groovy Donuts.
Yeah, but you can have one.
It's part of the weight loss contest? Yeah. That should be the weight loss contest.
One donut a day?
Losing weight while still keeping donuts part of your diet. That is a true that's not giving up on life. That's still enjoying life. That would be my
Is this a live read or are you just speaking out loud?
Just me speaking out loud.
We're doing a show. Hold on, Lobby with this one. Mel also made reference to drinking beet juice. Will you be joining Mel's juice squad?
I'm not no, I don't
I want to see him drink one.
It sounds awful.
I need to see him post a video of him drinking it.
I like beets on a good, feta salad or something, but man, beet juice, no.
Steve Beckman, would you keep the NBA's current play-in format or change it?
I kind of like it. It grew on me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it was fun to watch last night.
I think
Atlanta and the Hornets.
I think the way it goes is fair. The 7 and 8 play, they get extra rest. They also play, and if they win, they're in. They just have to win one of two. And so there is value in being the 7 and 8. If you don't like it,
don't be ass and have to play in the play-in game.
Right, and I think I do think it does lend to more teams playing for something late in the regular season, which I kind of like. Like if you're trying to avoid the play-in, you're trying to get a 6 seed. If you're trying to get in, you're trying to be home for those games. That means something. If you're and have two chances. If you're trying just to get in, I think you get down to like 12 or 13 teams pretty deep into the season that have a chance most years. And so yeah, I like it entirely.
Next one from Sports Guy 1919. Money idea. Replay the 2020 canceled NCAA tourney this summer. Invite all teams who were supposed to be in it with rosters that year and settle it on the court. Similar to the TBT tournament. Who says no?
I actually really like this idea. I think it would be fun.
It could never happen.
It probably wouldn't because too many guys are in the end.
Probably.
But it would be fun to try to do it, to say who wants to. Because I bet you a lot of guys would play. I bet you Tillman and Cassius Winston would play.
You know what? I have a better idea.
What's that?
I think Jack Ebling could do the 2020 NCAA tournament games on his show, like he did with the NBA stuff.
Oh, I was part of that, man. I was part of that.
I was too. I had to run the board one day.
You know who else was part of that?
Unbelievable.
Darian Harris was part of that.
Dude, I think everyone was involved in that.
It was rough.
Dude, Izzo was in on it.
Did Izzo do one day?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if people don't know what it was, we pretended to do like 1980s or 90s.
It was
play.
96 Bulls or something. He had like 7 different like legendary NBA teams or something.
And we faked the game on radio.
For 3 hours.
And it was for 3 hours.
3 hours.
And the problem was, and I discovered this because I had to do it twice. The first day, and Jack knew it might not be great radio because he said, I remember the Hewards were out of town. And he was like, "Oh, this is the sort of thing you can get away with once when the bosses are away at downtown." But I remember doing it once, and you kind of use all your jokes, right? You're trying desperately to keep it entertaining.
You do?
Well, I used everything I had, and the next time it's like I got nothing, and we're doing this again. I don't know. I don't really.
I'm telling you, go back and look for it.
Oh God, don't do
Jack
it.
Ebling Archives, and let us know what you think. Al, up next. How is George Blaha feeling?
I don't know, but I did see him on. I wasn't listening, but I had it in the background TV. He was interviewed from his home, or he was part of the pregame conversation the other day, and he looked good. So that's a really good sign, and I was very happy to see that. And need to shoot him a text. And I was, considering heart surgery pretty recently, I was. He looked really good.
What would you say in the text though?
Just hey George, it's Graham. Just saying hi. Hoping you're doing okay. Glad
you don't think he has your number stored? Like you have to tell him who it is?
At that age, I don't know.
You're blaming his age on it, or the fact that he just doesn't want to be friends.
Maybe he doesn't store my number. Yeah, it could be that too.
Because you have to say that, right? It's Graham because you don't want him to go. I'm sorry. Who is this?
I do that even with people who I've corresponded with if it's been more than a year. That's sort of my rule.
Yeah, because that really hurts. It's a gut punch when you get. I'm sorry. Who is this?
Yeah. Who? What? Yeah. No.
I had Dane Fife do that to me. I was like,
Al. Wait. What's that? Go back and tell that story.
It's not really that big of a story. I mean, when I did the Schuling show, he would have Dane Fife on, and I had Dane's number and was asking him to come on the show because Schuling had 95 guests a week. So I texted him thinking that he remembered me, and he's like, "I'm sorry, who is this again?" So,
that's not great. But it was there was a text thread, wasn't there? I mean, there were previous texts.
Maybe not. Maybe
Okay.
I just thought he knew me or something. I don't know.
You didn't introduce yourself or anything?
I don't think so. I'd have to look back.
You just thought I'm Jason Nick. He'll know me.
No, I did not think I was big time or anything like that. I believe that we talked previously.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That is a story almost worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. Great place for a date night, an after-work drink, lunch, or brunch. And if you're looking for a date night this weekend, a place to take your significant other, that they'll be impressed by the menu, the beer selection, the vibe, just the atmosphere, and sort of not just being some cliche place. Midtown Brewing Company, great place, 402 South Washington Avenue.
Next one from Al. What are your NBA Finals predictions?
I'll go with what James had. Suns, Bucks, right? I mean, James knows more than
He
me.
had Celtics.
Oh, he had Celtics.
Yeah.
Celtics, Bucks. Celtics, Suns.
Celtics, Suns, yeah. One of those combos.
Yeah. That explains a lot because I was looking today, and the Bucks is like plus 200 to win the East. I'm like, that's not very good money. I'm not going to do that.
We're dropping MFers now?
Yeah, that makes sense. I misheard that. Yeah, I don't have a great feel for it. I do like this Suns team, but I have a feeling like people are writing off Denver, and the West is going to be wild. I mean, because would you really bet against a full-strength Golden State either to have a chance?
And do you believe in the Nets?
Right, which I don't know.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Right? Just because they have Kyrie and Durant.
And even the Sixers, like, is something really wrong with James Harden? Not our James Harden, but that James Harden? Like, is he slowing down for good? Like, are they? I don't know these things, so it's a harder one to bet. There were years where you could make money off the Warriors being predictable, and you could count on them to do certain things, and none
will
of that.
Ben Simmons play ever?
And will that matter?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
All right, Al, with this one, will MSU hockey or women's hoops win a Big Ten championship first? Who will win a championship first?
Oh, I would say at this point it's got to be Michigan State women's hoops. You know, they added a 5-star transfer. They've got a 5-star as a sophomore. I mean, in basketball, you don't need as many people. I don't know that. I mean, they've been fairly competitive, and you've seen years where they've been in that conversation when not that long ago. So yeah, I would at this point, given where the hockey program's on for a decade, you have to say it's women's hoops.
Mojo Jojo up next. How did MSU and other Big Ten schools miss out on an East Carolina transfer, Jaden Gardner? Follow-up, is the miss on Gardner and others who went to Penn State, Cincy, Pitt, indicative of the end of the D'Antonio era.
So I'm guessing this is Jaden Gardner, and this is just a little pro tip. Be specific. Like Mojo Jojo just said, how do they miss out on Gardner? And there's a Gardner who's a big football recruit. There's a Gardner who's a basketball transfer. And so, even if you're short on characters, try and give as much information as you can. So I don't know exactly. I guessed it was East Carolina transfer Jason Gardner. But to the point of is what's happening indicative of the end of the D'Antonio era, if you're equating that to Izzo, I just think they're very different. I mean, I talked to Izzo the other day, and he probably won't mind if I share this, but he said at one point, I promise you this, I'm going to get to one more motherfucking Final Four, basically, and I don't know if he said motherfucking, but he sometimes uses those types of words, and he is still a very hungry, driven coach in ways that I'm not sure D'Antonio was at the end. I think there's a big difference between who those men are and sort of what drives them in certain ways.
Bo McJunkins with this one. Where does Quivarious Crouch fit in with his linebacker group now that we have the transfers?
It's a good question. I mean, Crouch is a guy with immense physical gifts. So if he's healthy and, sort of plays within his gap and does the right thing, I mean, he can help you. I don't – and so it's a great question, though, because if they're only playing two, and Cal Halliday's certainly going to be on the field, and I think there are – I think Crouch is going to have to last year they needed him. I'm not sure they need him as much this year, so he's going to have to play into that in the playing time.
Next one from Bo. Who starts at quarterback for Michigan, McNamara or McCarthy?
And do you have a feeling on this?
No.
I mean, everybody wants.
How do you not start Cade though?
Yeah.
He didn't earn enough respect.
I think he's got to be the guy,
so.
Unless McCarthy just clearly beats him out, and that's where you've got to. If you're the coaching
McCarthy
staff,
was fumbling all over the field last year, and Cade, the way he led that team, you have to give it to Cade.
Yeah.
Unless something happens, right? I mean,
unless McCarthy is, if McCarthy's, he's a young player, is growing every year, and he's got more overall talent. Unless in the fall camp, it's just not close, and then you got to be willing to make a hard decision.
Yeah. Next one from Bo. His cause aside, why is Kaepernick trying so hard to get back into a league he hates so much?
I don't know that he's actually trying to get back in. I don't know that he wants to be back in. I'm not saying there haven't been doors slammed in his face. There's a part of me that thinks if he really, really wanted to be back in, somewhere he would have gotten an opportunity. I could be wrong on that.
I don't think so. If he was a starting quarterback that could win a Super Bowl, we've talked about it before. If he gave you a chance to win a Super Bowl, do you want to bring in a guy, no matter what the heat is, you don't want to bring a guy in, it's going to be a number two, a backup to you.
I think that's been an under analyzed part of this, is that from the football perspective, he is not the perfect player to add because he can't run your offense the way your starter does. Now, that's not to say you can't get there's some advantages to having guys who are gamers and can move around and can create something out of nothing. I mean, Drew Stanton stuck around in the NFL for a long time running like a drunken sailor, and he couldn't run some of the things that starters did. But he was still more of a pocket guy than Kaepernick traditionally. I understand the backlash that would be there. I am still surprised that he hasn't gotten a shot.
Is he better than half of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL? Sure.
Probably.
Is he better than any of the starters? He's the same guy I watched throw back-to-back pick sixes against Arizona before the whole thing went down and he retired or whatever. But I just don't think he's a good football player, and you can't get an honest assessment because people want to support him and say he's a good football player, and he's getting screwed. Next one from Bo. Have we always been so dumb at the grocery store? People taking Sunday strolls in the middle of aisles and having conversations about grandkids, unaware of anyone else around. They need special hours for these people. I'm about speed when I'm shopping. Actually, the Kroger in St. John's has hours for the old blue hairs. Is that who you're talking about? Because
it's the morning, like the 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Nah, like 10 a.m. or something like that.
So you're supposed to be of a certain age to do it?
10 a.m. is like 5 p.m. for us. For old people, it's like
right.
They're in bed by 2:30.
My mother does her shopping like at 6:37 in the morning on Wednesdays.
Perfect.
She's like, and I don't, like to me though, I should be allowed with the old timers because like I can never find the chickpeas, man. Like I didn't know that the garbanzo beans are the same thing for a long time. Like Elizabeth will send me off to the grocery store and I come back 5 hours later looking like I've been in a fight with Tyson, and I've got half the wrong stuff.
Sounds like a sitcom.
It's just it basically is.
And by the way, it's not all old people clogging the aisles too. It's just like, how do you have a conversation? People on their phone in the store, like, get off your fucking phone. You can't shop without having a full conversation, pushing a cart around. Gideon up next. Hey, Dave Roberts, why are you pulling a pitcher who's 6 outs away from a perfect game?
It sounds like that's what the pitcher wanted, though. It sounds like
that was Kershaw.
It was Kershaw's call.
Kershaw put himself on a pitch count.
Yeah, so I mean that's.
And then he said, blame the shortened season or the shortened spring training.
Yeah, no, you blame Kershaw. Well, it's one thing to say, I got to stay healthy for the postseason, but Clayton Kershaw, your thing is blowing postseason games. That's your thing. Like, why do you they don't need you in the postseason? You're a regular season guy. I don't really understand it.
Gideon up next. On a scale of 1 to Juwan Howard's face punch, how bad was the Miles Bridges mouthpiece toss?
It was all right. He was pissed off. It was just a mouthpiece.
But the girl was 16 years old, Graham.
He apologized. That's good.
She was hit in the shoulder by a mouthpiece.
I don't think she was upset about it. She didn't say anything.
No,
right?
And Miles is going to take care of it.
Yeah.
That guy was being an ass. I don't blame him.
Yeah, and that's what he even said. He goes, I was trying to hit the guy.
Yeah.
He didn't act like he wasn't trying to hit him. He knew he was.
Miles is the nicest person I've ever met on the planet, and I don't know how anyone could get him pissed off. It's wild.
Yeah, I would love, and don't get me wrong, I know that Dockich is just being a tool, but I would love Dockich to actually, like, hang out with Miles, and most of Dockich's venom is towards Michigan State fans and whatever, and that's fine. That's just a Twitter beef. But, like, Miles is one of those guys that, I don't know, they're truly nice people, and he was a guy that was at Michigan State during some really tumultuous times, and I don't remember him a single time turning down an interview. In fact, at Wisconsin, his sophomore year, after all that shit went down with the idea that his family had, an agent had paid for his family's dinner, after a game at Wisconsin, he sat there for 20 minutes and answered every question. I mean, so I don't know. I have issues with people who go at him because I just don't think that's who he is.
But his assessment of Miles Bridges was that he doesn't have talent or whatever he said, but he backed it up and kind of gave an answer that was okay. But you know what I mean? Like, it's fine if you have that opinion. It's just he's just a complete ass.
He's a jerk
like
about the way. Yeah, the way he went about it was a jerk mode. Yeah, what he meant was he doesn't have Cassius Winston's game. But yeah, if Miles Bridges had Cassius Winston's game, he'd be LeBron James.
Bam. Drink, everybody, if you've heard that one before. Let's see, Gideon. Sorry, Jason, but I'm going to my first professional soccer game this weekend. Brace for J-League soccer hot takes in the coming weeks.
Oh.
J-League?
I don't know. Hold on. I got to look. Give me some
Wait,
off.
Graham doesn't know what that is?
Yeah, hold on.
What?
Dominoes falling right in the street.
Oh, it's the Japanese Professional Football League. I love it. Oh, in Japan. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Gideon.
In Japan. Kevin from Rochester Hills. Is Alan Haller, firing of Dan Cole, sending a message to everyone in the athletic department?
No, I don't think he's doing it to send a message. I mean, I do think that he is.
What's the message if he's trying that?
Right. Well, my conversation, I mean, I do think there are programs where there has been some acceptance of mediocrity or less that probably won't be tolerated a whole lot more. But that's only because they're trying also to put resources into those programs that give those programs a legitimate shot. Hockey is one of those that, unfortunately for Danton Cole, because he did have 3 different athletic directors. He had a pandemic he couldn't recruit for in a year. The building, the renovations on Munn weren't done. He never got to recruit to that new building. So it's not entirely fair. The problem is, after 5 years, if you don't have momentum or you have it going the wrong way, it's incredibly hard to turn. And you have to be fair to the program and the athletes, and it sucks for Danton Cole, but he wasn't going to steer that differently at this point. And maybe if he got to start over with different variables, it would work for him, but it wasn't. And so, but I don't think it was a message. I think he was dealing with that specific situation and thought he needed to make a change.
Kevin from Rochester Hills up next. Miles Bridges threw his mouthpiece. What is the worst thing you've ever thrown at someone? I have one.
Okay.
Senior year, we had this girl in our class that parents were out of town, and they had a whole liquor cabinet and everything. So before the football game, on Friday, we went over to her house and raided her parents' liquor cabinet. And, of course, I was just absolutely ossified drunk. And my friend Justin Clark he was wearing a completely bright, shiny white vest. And I grabbed a strawberry and I threw it as hard as I could at his white shirt, hammered. And he didn't drink at the time. So he was straight sober, and he almost punched the shit out of me. But, yeah. So I think that's the worst thing I've thrown at someone.
Yeah, that stains the shirt. That's a mean thing to do.
I understand. I don't have any other stories of throwing dog shit or anything. I'm sorry.
It wasn't like a brick like in Home Alone 2.
We were going, he liked his clothes and all that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's bad. It's bad. I once had a little girl, the closest I came to hitting a little girl.
Jesus.
And I was like 10 myself.
I think you should preface the story with how old you were.
Yeah, I was 10.
Okay.
And the neighbor, Jenny, we'll call her. Actually, that's her real name.
Rhymes with Jenny.
She was like 7, and she threw a rock, and it hit me in my front teeth and chipped it. She threw a rock at me.
Good Lord.
And I do not like that. That pissed me. I mean, I remember tracking her down, and I had to, before I burst into tears, I nearly just beat the living shit out of her, and then that wasn't in me to do, but I was really, really pissed off about it because you could have fucked somebody up. You throw a rock at somebody's face.
She did.
And yeah,
she messed up your teeth.
Yeah, I had to have a cap put on it and all that stuff. And it was 10 years. Yeah, it was not cool.
Why are they putting caps on a 10-year-old's teeth?
Because you
lose it.
Nah, I never lost it.
Ever?
I still have the same cap. I think it's just a little. Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
You didn't lose? You lost all your teeth by the time you were 10?
Yeah, right. You don't lose teeth anymore.
Shit,
when you're
I
10.
think I was like 15.
Maybe I was 12.
Yeah, I was
think
watching
10.
the Joe Carter home run. I pulled my last tooth.
Really?
Yeah, against the Phillies, 93. I was 14.
That's not natural.
I understand. I don't know. I was a wuss bag when it came to that. I was loose. I would just baby it till it had to literally fall out of my fat head.
That's yeah.
All
Wow.
right. The Youper. Will you tell us the Jeff Smoker story? Do tell, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I will.
July show.
Yeah, well, at some point I'll write it, hopefully. I mean, that is a goal for this offseason, is to get a hold of Jeff Smoker and do that story. I don't know if I don't know Jeff Smoker. He was 10 years before my time on the beat, and so I don't. We'll see if he's receptive.
You need Jeff Smoker to be like me and tell a bunch of stories from the past.
What I need is I need Cody Tucker, because Cody could get anybody to tell anybody.
Absolutely.
Cody would walk into a mental institution and be like, "Hey, I need your story," and they'd be
and
like,
"He did that,"
and he did, right? And that's why it was.
Boo-boo.
It was, yeah.
I've never met anyone like Cody, though, that can talk to anyone and get them on his side, no matter who it is. It's wild.
And I don't know what it is, because he's this.
He's a likable dude.
Yeah, but he's this gruff. Yeah, you're right. He is likable, but he's also intimidating physically enough. I think that it works too. He doesn't come across. He comes across as a little bit of a badass too.
Well,
so there's a respect that goes with that.
He's got tattoos all over the place.
Yeah,
giant beard.
Absolutely.
To Youper. Who else is excited to see Chet Holmgren in a Pistons teal jersey next season? Oh, my God. Can you imagine Chet in those old teal pieces of shit jerseys? Woof.
By the way, if you want to host a NBA draft lottery party, Groovy Donuts they'll do up the whole thing. They'll do Chet Holmgren on a donut for you. You want to do any of those guys, they'll do on a donut.
Again, Monica's probably like, will you shut the fuck up? Chet Holmgren.
Or more realistically, is we're headed to graduation season. If you're hosting an open house or a graduation party, or headed to one and need to bring something that's a cool, something to share, sort of meal gift, Groovy Donuts can do all sorts of graduation things. They can do it tailored to a different school. They can do whatever you want, or they can just do a batch of fantastic donuts from Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com to place an order, or stop by and see them in Williamston or on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing.
Gavin Haas, who do y'all want the Pistons drafting?
Probably Chet. Would Chet be the number one for you? It would be, right?
I'm not sold on Chet.
Highest ceiling is probably him, right?
I'd rather have Jabari, I think.
Yeah. Jabari's my number 2 for sure, I think.
And I wouldn't be mad with Keegan Murray or Jaden Ivey or something like that. I just don't believe the Chet thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Next one from Gavin Haas. Record prediction for Western Michigan football.
I don't follow it closely enough anymore to do that. I don't even know who's on their schedule, or what sort of team they're really going to have this year. So, Gavin, I'd love to do it, but I'm ashamed to say I can't. By the way, today, Stephen Brooks came up to me after the MSU football press conference. He works for 24/7. He said, "Graham, I need your expertise on something," which naturally meant it was one of 3 things. It was about MAC basketball, donuts, or Les Miserables. And his question was about Mac basketball, and I think he regrets it to this day. Like, we talked for like 25 minutes. On
Yeah, he
Mac
had
hoops.
no idea what the 69 attempted session that you tried doing to him. He's like, I was just trying to ask some questions to Graham, and all of a sudden he takes his pants off.
Huge mistake.
Oh, Jesus. Gavin with this one. Best story worth telling from over quarantine from both of you.
From over quarantine.
It's wild that it's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to those early days and, like, just
Oh, my God.
growing your hair.
I was buying golf, like, putt-putt mats for the house and thought we were never going to be able to leave, so I just – that was my first idea. Make a little putt-putt course inside of the house. I 5 of them.
I remember, like, pumping gas for the first time since it started.
What?
And
how'd you get gas before? Like, what do you mean?
after the pandemic had started, like going to a gas station during the pandemic, like early days of pandemic, right? This is the first time we haven't gone anywhere for a few weeks. First time we've needed gas. I was out doing a story on something with the pandemic, and I stopped by a gas station, and I pumped gas and realized I don't have hand sanitizer in the car. So now I'm staring at the one right hand that touched the gas pump. And this is early on. We have no idea what this virus is, right? This is back when we're like putting our groceries on the back deck,
Should
washing
I set
things
my
up.
hand on fire?
Yeah, and I'm trying to drive home with one hand. I'm looking at my other hand, like, oh God, oh my God, this hand is just full of the virus. This is death. I don't know. Those aren't great stories, but they're almost stories worth telling. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue.
Oh, thank you, Skymint. All right, Nick Palmer. If the President of the United States offered you a position in the cabinet, which job would you want?
Treasury? What do you want?
Absolutely none. I want none of them. Sounds like ass.
Well, let me read you. Okay, who's in a president's cabinet? I'll give you all the, you know what, state?
Are you really going to run down the cabinet? I got to get out of here, Couch.
Thanks for your patience. We won't be long now.
Yeah. All right, hold on. The cabinet is, you've got vice president, which isn't bad. I think vice president would be good. Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, which is Hamilton. You've got Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of the Interior.
I want that job. What does that mean?
I don't think you know what that
Interior
means.
of the White House?
Yeah, it's not like putting up blinds. Secretary of the Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Housing, and there's a lot of these. I'm not going to read
all
them all.
That shit sounds easy. I'm in.
Make me the Secretary of Education. That's actually what I would take for sure.
I really thought you were going to run down the whole.
I nearly did.
Damn it.
I nearly did.
Yeah. Nick Palmer. Who's the most overrated recruit you'd ever seen?
Boy, guys who really didn't pan out, huh?
Could you put Marcus Taylor on that list?
No, because he was the Big Ten leading scorer and assist man as a sophomore. He just didn't pan out in the pros. He was great as a sophomore.
Okay.
I'll give you a name. Leroy McFadden. He was a Nick Saban guy. I was a teenager, and I still remember. And he wasn't like a five-star kid, but he ran like a 4.2, 4.3 40, and he was built like a bull. And he just never wound up being a ton. There are probably lots of other guys who didn't wind up doing much, but that name always sticks out to me.
I can't feel my face. Is that good or bad?
It's good.
Yeah, it is good. Carl Mylock. If you weren't in your current jobs, what would you be doing? You know what I'd like to do? My buddy works for a steel company in Detroit, and they have a suite at Red Wings games and Pistons games. And a woman is in charge of asking employees what games they want to go to. And I would like that job. That sounds amazing. Everyone loves you.
You remember that? You ever seen Dagwood and Blondie? The
Jesus.
You know how he was like
this isn't the Jack Ebling show.
But he was like a mattress tester. Like he took naps for a living. No. Would Monica and Andrew need a donut tester? You know, like could I just make sure
they need to sell some shit?
Just make sure each one is okay. No, I would be like the Lansing Community College athletic director, for a lot of reasons. I mean,
just a walking Hallmark card.
Yeah, no. I like working with that sort of student and helping them get where they want. I think I could be really effective in helping kids move on and do well there. I would like to work a shift though too. I think I would like to work a job that you don't take home. I think that would be customer service, whatever it is. Just
this
a
is
job
like a Bruce Springsteen video.
Sorry,
I just want to go down to the docks and work a shift. Yeah, Carl Mylock. Who are the 3 most likely candidates at the moment to be hired for the MSU hockey coaching job? If Jeff Blashill becomes available, is he the top target?
I think you have to make that call. And he's sort of, he's sort of the Nick Saban of the Mel Tucker search in certain ways. And what I mean by that is he's a lot younger and he's more available. But you had to call Saban for his advice because he cares about MSU, and also as Alan Haller did was just say, "Hey, you sure you don't want this?" Just to be sure. But you have to know where Blashill stands. There's a pretty good chance, he could still be the Red Wings coach next year. The timing might not match up. The Michigan job might come open now, which could be a whole different deal too.
But what's the worst case scenario if Haller just calls people and they say no?
Right? That's what you do.
And does it get it out in the press? I mean, who gives a shit?
Well, yeah, and I think he still thinks about college hockey, and I know he does. And the other thing that may happen is he may say, you know what, I'm not, but my guy Pat Ferschweiler at Western Michigan is, and that would be a heck of a hire. So, or he might have some real advice on guys that he thinks would be smart to hire within the game. I think he's a guy you have to call, just because of every single. And this is one thing I wrote about in the column, every single possible type of person you're looking for. The really good development AHL assistant who's well-respected in hockey circles, the top USHL guy was a former college assistant, and the NHL guy, everything, the sitting head coach somewhere else, he has been all of those things and been revered at all those things. So he sort of speaks from every experience. That said, I don't know if like Mike Hastings, I can't imagine he's going to leave Minnesota State. He's a Minnesota guy, but you never know. There's the coach of the American International. There's a coach at Quinnipiac who would be. There are coaches at smaller programs that have been really successful that might be lured by Michigan State, and so you got to figure out what you want, and you have to get away, I believe, from the Ron Mason tree and era, and what you are now is a struggling hockey program without much going for you other than an okay building and a Big Ten campus and a good league. And so you have to use what you have, not what you were, and come to terms with that.
Carl Mylock, who wins the championship first, an MSU team or a pro Detroit team?
Boy, I mean, a national championship. So the Tigers, let's say they're at least a year away, but a year from now we're probably hoping they're contenders.
Yeah. There's more parity, I think, in the pro sports. I would say Detroit teams.
You'd guess. I mean, it's possible MSU basketball or football could pull it together in the next.
I mean, a national championship?
Yeah.
For MSU football?
Boy, it's tough.
I would go Detroit teams.
There's more Detroit teams, and I do think
someone win. Let's do this.
Except, who is it though? It's got to be the Tigers within 20. I don't know. Put a little more evidence.
Yeah, that's a bummer now. Dark Antonio. Could be an interesting poll. Would MSU fans be more on edge and disconcerted if Michigan won a basketball title, the sport they feel is theirs, or football with a coach who they think is a buffoon? I know most Michigan fans would surely feel that way if MSU won a football title.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good question.
It is a good question. I think if Michigan football won a national title, it would burn MSU fans more. You don't think so?
I don't know. I personally, I would pick if Michigan won a basketball title.
Okay, why is that? Just
because of all the hype around Harbaugh and how it's a little bit easier with the football schedule to do, and I don't think it's as big a deal as Juwan Howard. Then all of a sudden, two of them are coming at you. I don't know. I just would pick basketball.
The reason I would think it would be the other way is I think MSU fans largely, not entirely, but are more secure in who they are as a basketball program. They've won a national title in basketball. They've been to all these Final Fours. Winning a national title for Michigan doesn't necessarily put you that far ahead of Michigan. It doesn't say Michigan State is inferior. Whereas in football, that's a pretty big leap that it's hard to make, and we've seen that now, that just getting in the playoff doesn't really put you in that next tier. So if you get to that next tier, that's pretty impressive.
All right, you turned me. All right, Dark Antonio, at what age would you pick to live at forever?
30, without question. I don't know what age would you want to be forever?
I mean, 21 forever. Like, why would you want to be 30? I don't get to evolve. I just stay at
you're gonna have
super dummy dumb 21-year-old Rube.
Right.
Okay. Oh, okay. I guess 40. Fuck, what am I going to be? 43. I'll go 40, 42.
Now, so 30 is it. Now, don't get me wrong. I look back at my Facebook memory posts from 30, and I'm a little worried about 30 because I was a real dumbass. I'm surprised I have friends. But I also, at 30, you're still young enough to do everything athletically you've ever wanted to do. You're old enough to fit in with and be taken seriously with older crowds. You're young enough to still hang out with younger crowds. It's a good age. Life is, 30 is a great age. 30 is the age I would do.
Yeah. These young people can kiss my ass. I don't want to hang out with you anyway. Dark Mantonio, from what you've seen from across the country over the years, does Detroit do opening day bigger than most MLB cities?
I've never, I'm trying to think of other places. I've been to opening day, I guess, at the White Sox at Kaminsky when I was in college.
And that's big there.
It was big enough.
I would think Wrigley's big, right?
Yeah, I mean,
the problem is I never really pay attention because the Tigers are dealing with their opening day, right?
They're on, right? So I do think the Tigers usually opening day is a big deal, and I know media wise it's always been a big deal. The local reporter goes down there and writes a column about how good the Tigers are going to be after one game. It's sort of the usual. Well,
they send a reporter to the post office every April 15th or whatever to talk to people that are filing late. They still do that?
They probably still do. I'll say this: I opening weekend for the White Sox in 2001 or 2000, 2001. It's the Juan Gonzalez era for the Tigers are in town. I'm going to Columbia College, Chicago, so I'm excited. Tigers are in town for the White Sox opening weekend. So we go down, a group of us, to the opening day, and it was a decent crowd. It wasn't great, but it was okay. I go back on Sunday by myself. Just jump on the red line, buy a cheap ticket, thinking, and this is before the White Sox change it. So now they're one of the few places you don't even get in the main concourse unless you have a main concourse ticket. Didn't used to be that way. Anyway, I got like a $12 outfield ticket, but there's only like 15,000 people at this game. There's tons of seats everywhere. So I'm not bothering anybody. I'm by myself. I want to see, it's a beautiful day. I want to see the great Juan Gonzalez and the Tigers play. And I go find a seat in a row by myself, separated by 3 rows front and back from anybody. In the middle of the game, an usher comes and taps me on the shoulder. Says, "Can I see your ticket?" I show them my ticket. They're like, "You're not supposed to be here." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's..." Somebody had complained, like a season ticket holder, that I was sitting there by myself, like 3 rows ahead. So I threw the biggest freaking hissy fit in the world. I was like, partly I was a militant 20-year-old, but I also
got a stupid-looking face.
I said, "You ought to be thanking me for being here. It's fucking opening weekend, and you can't put 20,000 people in your stadium. Be grateful that I bought a goddamn ticket. I'm not moving. You go get your manager. Go get your manager.
Young Graham is so hateable.
You go get your manager, and we'll talk it out." And the manager never came, and they let me stay, and I don't know what happened.
You went full Karen.
I Karen'd
you went
it,
Karen
man.
before Karen.
I Karen the shit out of it. This is before phones could capture any of it. That was the best part about back then.
Go get your manager.
Another story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. Enjoy brunch this weekend, beginning at 11 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at Midtown Brewing Company.
Ken Chu up next. How much would Ishbia have to pay Rod Brindamore to leave Carolina and return to the Spartans? Probably too late since MSU ghosted him while he applied previously.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even – he was interested in the job and they didn't give it to him. You never know who's into it. The thing about college hockey jobs is even though Michigan State's gone through some coaches, there's still often a lot of stability if you can win. Like if you want to go someplace for a decade, and that's why some of these guys are worth a call. In the NHL, they fire and hire these guys all the time. The AHL guys are doing 3 years here, 3 years there. Like, if you want to, the college hockey coaching lifestyle can be a pretty good one, and the pay is a lot better than it used to be. You're talking in the $350,000-$400,000 range, and it's not Mel Tucker money, but it's a pretty decent living in a pretty decent place with good security.
Mr. Neurotic Pants up next. Do you think MSU's hockey recruits will be the critical difference for the next season?
I don't think there's much hope for next season. Not that they won't get some guys late in the portal, not that they won't, but you're making a long-term hire here. You just can't care about what's you can't be worried about this next roster, who's leaving, who's coming in. You've made the decision that you need to start over, a fresh start. What's really important is you get the right guy at this point, and then you figure that out from there.
Next one from Neurotic Pants. Do you have a preview of the MSU versus Michigan baseball series this weekend?
I do not. I apologize.
Full spread. Tomorrow's paper.
It is something that, number one, I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't know it was happening. Number two, we probably ought to do something on it this weekend. Thank you.
Neurotic Pants. Have you heard anything about the Lansing Pharaohs, the new basketball team?
I have. It's there's some local guys that you'd recognize, some guys who have been in Moneyball over time. It's there've been a number of these leagues that haven't worked, but this team seems to be doing okay right now. And
Skip to My Lou?
Skip to My Lou is not on this
The
team.
Professor?
No.
Escalade?
No, but there's some guys you'd recognize. Phil Friend, if you
Phil Friend's playing?
No, he's not playing. But Phil Friend did a story on the Lansing Pharaohs. If you Google them and LSJ, you'll find it, and you learn more about the team.
Oh boy, Jay Spry. I read a meaningless mock draft that had Willis at number 2. Why have I allowed that to scare me?
Because I think people are a little nervous about that.
It's like flying, Jay. It's like you're going to land. It's just going to suck in the air for a little bit. So I'm not even going to fear it at all. And they're just going to draft whoever, Sauce Gardner, Malik Willis at 2. And you just have to deal. What are you going to do? But I'm dead inside.
If they draft Malik Willis, so
Yeah, great.
I want to hear the
He's a great guy, though. He
justification.
gave a homeless guy his shoes, so take him at 2.
Here's why you don't draft Malik Willis for a number of reasons. This is why it's not going to happen. Because if you're Brad Holmes in this GM group, the second you go on the clock and your job is really being looked at seriously is the moment you draft a quarterback, because now you're tied to that guy, and if that doesn't work, you're not going to be around.
While you're still paying Jared Goff $35 million.
Right? Why not build it for another year? Everybody's expecting you to have Goff. Build it for another year outside of him, and there's not a whole lot of pressure on you yet. The second you draft a quarterback, there's pressure that you had to get the right guy.
Yeah. Next one from Jay. Western Michigan shouldn't be beating MSU by 10 in baseball ever, should they?
Here's what I'll say to that. Yes and no. So the thing that happens, and trust me, I covered Western Michigan baseball quite a bit back in the day when I lived in Kalamazoo.
No kidding.
Once went down to the MAC tournament, old Himes Field too. The thing about those games is they're not the weekend series. So I'll give you an example. If Michigan State is playing Western on Wednesday or Tuesday night, their Friday, Saturday, Sunday games are their 3 top pitchers. Their starting pitchers do the weekend. So the guys that pitch on the Wednesday games, it's sort of like your 5th starter in the Major League Baseball. It might be a bullpen day. It's just you got to keep that in mind. So much of baseball is about pitching, and the guys who pitch, and for both teams, frankly, Western's not pitching their best guys either. They're saving them for the weekend in conference play. I'm just saying you got to keep that in mind, that it's not really indicative often of, if that was a Friday game with both guys aces on the mound, that's something to think about.
Last one from Jay Spry. When is Jackie Joseph's contract ending?
It's a good question. I do not know.
It's not a good question if you're Jackie Joseph when people ask that.
It's amazing how many people really want her gone. One of my things about Jackie Joseph and sort of calling for her dismissal is I have never covered a Michigan State softball game, ever. I've never been to one. And one of my rules is if it's not important enough of a sport for me to go, then who the fuck am I to say you're not doing your job well enough? You need to go because it's...
You look at the record.
I know, but...
See what other people are saying.
Well, then she'll get fired if she gets fired, but me to call for her job would be ridiculous. If I've never been to a game, if I'm not paying enough attention, if I don't have the courtesy and respect to cover the team enough, then I don't have I cover enough hockey at Michigan State. I go to enough games to be in a position to at least feel that it's fair for me to write about the state of the program.
So how many games would you have to go to, softball games, to be okay with calling for a job? 7?
You'd have to
8?
You'd have to start covering the team a little bit. Be around it. Yeah.
All right. Couch on Fire. Just got back from Michigan. Are those the worst roads in the country? I don't know. Illinois is pretty tough, but Michigan is complete ass.
And the worst part is, the highway roads are one thing. They're bad. But the roads in our neighborhood in Lansing are just, unbelievably bad. You can't, it's you have to swerve around potholes. And the city is,
Do you want to hear a conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
I think there's actually a material out there that could be made that way you could fix the roads and you would never have to fix them again. But I think that they're hiding it because there's so much money involved in construction. If you took construction away and fixed a road one time and never had to fix it again.
What is this material?
I don't know. it's 2022. You can print a fucking a dog toy or something off your printer now. We can't make roads that are indestructible if we go over with some sort of material. Just saying. But if you do that, I mean, how many billions are in construction? 11 billion is the answer. All
Okay.
right. Couch on fire. I love the back and forth. Love the size of those TVs.
I didn't know what to say.
And I understand. In the sports books, what's your ideal TV size for your home?
Sports books do. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you go to Dacey's. It's pretty damn awesome at Firekeepers.
We have a 65-inch, and I never thought I'd have anything near that.
do you like? Is that the perfect size? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we could go bigger. It's bananas. It's a 4K. It's 65-inch, and
Yeah, I think we have.
you mount one of those.
I think we have a 55 or 50. I can't even remember what ours is now. It's
but those are good too.
It's
right?
good, and it's good for our living room, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get too.
You're spoiled, definitely, with cheap giant television.
No question. And in the other rooms, we have 30, I think 36, and that's fine. Like where they are in the den, like I don't need more than that in the secondary TVs. And I like that I can move them out and create like a multiple television situation. I will. When I first got my first, I was late to the flat screen game. I had like a tube that still worked, 20-inch tube. Didn't really think a whole lot of it when I was living most of the time in Kalamazoo till like 2000.
What year is this?
10?
Dude.
Pretty late.
Wow.
So finally, I'm going to get a flat screen, and I get a 48-inch or something like that. And I lived in this kind of castle-like, cool first floor apartment that was, the first floor of a house, but it was pretty dark, and it was the living room was thin. It was long and thin, and I couldn't get far. Like it was brand new. I took it back. I couldn't get far enough away from it. Like I was like, oh my god, it's ridiculous. I'm like,
so
up
you
against
went
the
back to the tube TV?
No, I took it back and got like a 36-inch, but I couldn't handle the 48-inch the first time I got it. I went from a 20 tube to a 48-inch flat screen, and I was like, oh my god, this is the worst.
Blowing my mind.
It was amazing. The salesman was flabbergasted. He said nobody'd ever brought one back to get a smaller TV before. But there's always a time. That's a story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. So perfect size TV, 65 inches.
Couch on fire. Odds that the MSU football secondary and basketball turnovers improve. Tired of those tropes.
I think the secondary will be better this year. I just think that's
has to be
depth issues, and I think they'll be considerably better. The basketball turnovers, they should be better next year, just because they had two primarily. I won't say they're first-year guards, but first years in these roles. Like a lot of that, there's a lot of experience in that backcourt next year. The turnovers better be better.
Next from Couch on Fire, Rube, do you watch women's golf? Not on purpose. I mean, if it's on, it's on. I'll definitely watch.
You don't gamble on it.
Oh, God, I can't know. Jesus.
I feel like there'd be money to be made there if you knew what you're doing.
Yeah, but then you have to know what you're doing.
Right. No question.
Yeah, no offense.
There's plenty of offense in your tone. There's so much offense there.
Well,
it's a misogynistic jackass
How
tone.
is it misogynistic?
It's not.
I'm
It's
sorry
not.
I don't watch women's golf.
No, you're fine.
You're
fine.
So sorry.
Misogynistic was too far a word. You're being honest.
Cucker Tarleson. How cute are those groovy Easter donuts? I mean, my God. Live read.
They're outstanding, Cucker Tarleson. Thank you. No, it is. There are some outstanding offerings, and a great way to add to your Easter brunch, your Easter gathering, or just have a box of them next to you on Easter Sunday if you don't have to spend time with your family. Not that I don't want to spend time with mine. Go to groovydonuts.com and place your order today. They're available Friday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Groovy Donuts in Williamston and on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing.
We really need to do a show where we're both this high. This is a little too high for doing a show, but
yeah,
this is great.
Maybe next week.
Next week. We got to do this at some point. Cucker Tarleson, what is the best case scenario first pick for the Lions?
Is it Aiden Hutchinson? Slides and I
he
get him?
falls, yeah.
If
the Jags, I doubt the Jags are going to do that.
Does it piss you off that they won unnecessary games last year now?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because you're speaking into existence when you talk to some of these Lions fans.
Oh, and it ticks me off that even the beat writers are establishing a culture. Well, no, now you lost a pass rusher. You need more than culture? A fucking pass rusher.
Oh, they drive me nuts up there. Cucker Tarleson. Favorite foreign beer. My favorites right now are Pacifico and Weizenstaffener.
Yeah, I do like Pacifico as well. That's a good beer. I don't know. What my favorite foreign. It's a really good question.
We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of a lot of stouts. I like a Guinness, which is obviously foreign, but not that
Tin
foreign.
stout.
But I like a specific one. I like a Modelo. I like all those. I like those Mexican beers quite a bit.
Hans Jurgen. Has MSU found a pass rusher yet, or are we doomed to be scored upon mercilessly, or am I just personally doomed?
Both. No, the pass rusher is the key, and it was interesting to hear them talk about Brandon Wright today. That's a guy I really want to see now at the spring game or the spring practice, the open whatever it is, because it's a guy they thought had immense talent. He used to be a running back, obviously. And it's somebody they've worked on technique-wise and are really seeing blossom. Like, they need that position to sort of to come to fruition.
Next one from Hans. If Grambling is a historically black college or university, is Northern Michigan University a historically white college or university?
It's actually, I think there's probably more diversity up at Northern Michigan University than you think. But, yeah, it's in the UP, so historically a lot of white people. But you know what else? Where else there's a lot of white people?
Should it be canceled then?
No, because otherwise you're canceling the I-Zone in every college basketball student section. The I-Zone's a historically white student section.
Because they recruit the student section.
No, they don't. I'm just saying. If I were
they turn away.
If I were running the I-Zone, I would be like, there are black students on campus. Let's see if we can recruit a few just to make it look a little better here.
Jesus.
I don't know. That's just me.
Hans Jurgen. Do you recommend buying a car online? Notice this is a non-sports question because sports suck this time of year.
I've never done it. I shouldn't say that. I've looked at cars online back in the day, like a used truck or something, but I've never actually just purchased one online.
Yeah, make the purchase online.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like Carvana or something.
Yeah, I guess.
You have to drive it, right?
But I know more and more people do this even through like dealerships. One thing, I have buddies who work at dealerships, and during the pandemic they did. Some more and more of these online sales that were sort of hybrid sales, So maybe that's the way we're headed.
All right, Jake Hawkins up next. The potential starting five for MSU basketball next season, you mentioned on yesterday's show. What's their potential, and how far could they go?
Well, I think if we're talking Max Christie returning with A.J. Hoggard and then Malik Hall and Joey Hauser, I like that lineup a lot. The 5 spot, we'll see what Julius Marble is. If that was the guy, no, I think it's a team that could be very good. I mean, the real key is the internal development. Like, Hoggard has to become what he was at his best quite often. Like, he has to become a dude. And same goes for a guy like Max Christie coming back. But if Max Christie takes the step that I think he has in him, and Hoggard does the same, and Malik Hall in a different role, gets out of his head a little bit and takes another step, and Hauser is all consistent all year. That's a team that's going to win a lot of games. Are they good enough to compete and make a run in March? That a lot of that's going to depend on what you get defensively inside, and for that, I do think they need to add a piece.
Next one from the Hawk. What do you think about the names to possibly hire as MSU's next hockey coach, Ryan Miller or Anson Carter?
See, I mean, those are flashy. I've talked to Ryan Miller within the last year, and he's sort of interested in coaching, but I don't think full-time altogether. So Anson Carter, I mean, those are splashy name hires. But the question is, how would that be thought of in the hockey world? And that matters. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. What matters is, what do NHL teams and the advisors for these players think? Are those guys – you want somebody who's proven they can develop talent. So if you hire an Anson Carter, and I don't think that's going to happen. What I mean, though, is his staff better have a couple assistants who can not only recruit but have developed in a high way. You better have people that are with you that can lure talent and develop it, and that people know will do it.
Next one from the Hawk. Can MSU hockey get back to being a really good team like they were in 2007 when they won the national championship?
I don't know. I mean, that year some people think was a fluke, but bottom line is they won a national championship, and they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since. I think they can. I mean, you just got to hire the right coach. You got to get somebody who's just reinvigorates things and look, Jeff Blashill did it in a year at Western Michigan. They were awful under Jim Culhane. He came in, took them to the NCAA tournament, took them to the CCHA championship game, and the Red Wings hired him away. But he did it he was a USHL coach. He brought in talent that was still around. It can be done. and it can be done quickly. But it's all about finding the right guy, and so that's why I wouldn't worry at all about the timing of this next year or who they're going to have on the roster. You want somebody who has the chops to get it done.
Next one from Jake. Thoughts about Amir Speed and Chris Bogle giving this MSU football team a boost of confidence that they are capable of winning a national championship.
Yeah, Speed's name comes up a lot. Long, rangy corner. I think Speed is, first of all, can you imagine being named Speed? Like, you better be fat. Like, what if you were the slow kid? Like, what if you were named Speed? Jason Speed. You'd have to be on drugs just to have
But
it
that's
fit.
like the fat guy and you call him tiny.
That's true.
It's kind of a backwards thing.
That's a good point. It would I wouldn't mind being called Speedy, actually. I know. I think they've done a nice job of improving that defensive secondary, and it's probably the position I'm most curious about this football team.
Next one from the Hawk. Would it take another Rose Bowl, college football playoff appearance, or national championship to get Spartan Stadium packed for the spring game the way that Mel Tucker wants?
I think Jason's right in this sense. It would help if it was an actual game. It's going to take a 70-degree day. It does take the buzz that's there now, but I think the buzz and anticipation that's there now is a lot. I don't think you need a lot more than that.
But like Andrew said, though, why not make it an event?
You need a festival around it, no
right.
question.
Make something for kids, all this stuff.
Skymint and booze, maybe have Midtown cater it.
I tell you what, right now I'm ready to go to the spring game. Let's play. Last one from Jake. Favorite Easter candy? To me, nothing beats Cadbury cream eggs, not even a big chocolate bunny.
What I don't know. I'm not a huge Easter candy guy because I'm not a huge candy guy, if that makes any sense.
That's impossible. No, it makes no sense. You look like a big candy guy.
Yeah, I'm just not. Like, I would be more, I don't know. I do love like a chocolate cream egg sort of thing. I don't know. Jelly beans. I don't know. What's yours? Give me something.
Oh. I like the Cadbury egg.
I'm telling you this. You want to impress me in an Easter basket? Give me a half dozen Groovy Donuts. I don't need anything else.
Yeah, there we go.
We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sundays. That's in Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing and also in Williamston. You can also go to groovydonuts.com and place your orders today. We appreciate Firekeepers. Download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Play the Tigers games. Win or lose money with us. We haven't figured that out, what's going to happen there. Play the Premier League Soccer. It's a great app. It's right at your fingertips. And if you want the Sportsbook experience, it's right near Battle Creek off I-94, Firekeepers Casino. We also appreciate Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue, and, of course, Skymint, which has helped Jason get through the show.
Yes.
Good